Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we have Kristol Gray joining us today, so we're really super excited about it. I knew her when I lived back in the state, so I definitely am very happy to finally get her on.
Well,
If you
thank you
want to go
for
ahead,
having me.
Kristol, can I explain better what you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate this. I am a psychic medium. I am a psychopomp, and I am a chaos witch that works in the gray. To put it in simple terms.
How would you explain what the chaos switch that works in the gray to for everyone to better
Um,
understand that?
chaos witch is a little different, I think, for everyone. Um, we kind of just do what we want when we want. Let's just put it that way. Everything changes. It's never the same. There's little bits of everything, as far as different types of witchcraft involved. The gray aspect means, and that goes actually with the mediumship as well. I work between the light and the dark. I work with both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah, as a medium, I work with the lost, wandering, the dead that need help, and non-human entities. Whereas, and then as a gray witch, I work with both sides, the light and the dark, to get my results.
so yeah, because I know when people think gray witch, you're not. It's not because a lot of people classify themselves as like the white witch, dark witch. You're just
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, like, when I was first I figured I was medium out first, and I was really getting drawn into the witchcraft, and I started looking, I'm like, eclectic, it doesn't fit, because I do like little bits, of everything. And then I found someone posted something on TikTok, a little like meme type picture of what a gray witch was. And I'm like, hey, and I went to look it up, and there wasn't a lot there. Um, because you can classify me as a gray witch as well as a chaos witch. They go hand in hand for what
right.
I do. Um, and so, but what I have found, like with gray witches, white witches, dark witches, all the different types, a lot of people just don't have any clue what a gray witch is or
Yeah.
gray magic is. And some people think that I heard someone say it's all light and love. I'm like, light and love, people, like, we're dealing with the dark side and the light side. It's not all light and love, but it just, you utilize the energy that you need, whether it falls on the lighter side of the path or the darker side of the path, to get, you know, to do what you need to do. So you build relationships, and that's how I am as a medium, is I'm pretty much dark, middle road to darker side as a medium as well. So it just all kind of blended together.
When did you first realize you had the abilities?
Um, late in life. Um, I was 40 when it hit me, and people usually say if it's not something that you've always had, usually traumatic experiences will do it. And in a course of 5 days, I had two very big life-changing things happen to me. And one of those circumstances brought someone into my life who is, beyond my best friend these days, and helped me on that path, and realized, so it was like I just started instantly opening up, not knowing what was going on,
Right.
scared out of my wits. Like, I'm 40 years old sleeping with a light on, Um, and then one day, a few months in, so a situation happened, and I channeled a spirit, and I didn't know what was going on. And I said something to her. She's like, "You just channeled a spirit." I'm like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "I think you're a medium." I'm like, "Cool. Google, like, what's a medium?" And that's kind of, but yeah, I was 40. So almost 8 years ago.
Yeah, I started doing it. So I kind of realized it when I was younger for me, but I this always happens podcast. She'll be back.
Okay.
Every time we talk paranormal, all of a sudden her phone goes haywire. Yeah, so I started learning when I was younger, but unfortunately, when I started realizing I had the gift, I was a child, and unfortunately, and I always tell people this, I grew up as a minister's daughter, so to them, a lot of to a lot of having that gift, it's just the scariest thing ever because they're like,
Mhm.
you if you have the gift, that means you either are possessed or you have a demon attachment, and
Yep.
it scared me as a child, and that's why I blocked a lot of it off in life because they just made it the most scary thing in the world. And finally, when I got older, I started breaking away from the church, and I started meeting like-minded individuals. They're like, no, it's not the case, and that's when I started kind of learning. I'm still kind of learning. Yeah, this is not the bad thing. Like I've come a lot in being able to do it, but Irene will even tell
Nice.
you like she's helping me because she still sees the fear that I have, like trying to do it. But
Yeah.
there's always been a thing where you can't. And if you have the gift, especially when you start doing it, you realize there comes a point where the spirits won't let you turn it off or shut it out. They're
No.
just like, it's you have it, we're here, you're gonna deal with it.
Yeah, I mentor a girl, I've been mentoring her for a few years, and she's raised Baptist, so same thing, and I've come across several people that have the gift, same thing, they were raised in the church, things like that, and it really played on their like, how to reconcile that within themselves, of the God and everything that they were taught, and then, the fact that they're seeing these things and it's not demons, but it's scary when you don't know what's going on, and it all starts, like I always say, as soon as you open up, you are a lighthouse, and everything just right at you, and it's overwhelming, and if you don't have someone around to help, I mean, even with someone to help, it's still really scary at times. Oh god, like I
Yeah,
said, I was terrified, and then one day I just got fed up with it and was like, "Nope, not scared anymore." So
that's why I was
Actually,
traumatic as a child
when you
because
get
anytime I'd
into
feel
it,
or hear or
it's
see
no longer
anything, I
frightening.
was scared half to death.
Go to
yeah.
bed.
And
Go
there
to
was
bed.
times at night as a child where I slept in the hallway next to a nightlight, and my parents were like, "Why?" And I'm like, I saw someone in my room, and it was scary, and I don't. Looking back at it, I don't know if it was like someone who was just coming to see me, or someone who wanted help, or someone just wanted to talk. Because as a child, it's just, especially growing up, that was like the scariest thing. And I'm like, I can't. And I wish now I could go back and help myself then because I'm just like, I have so many questions from things back then that
Oh, yeah.
I wish I was allowed to know a little bit more about it. So
Well,
maybe,
and then everyone has this perception of it too, and it's ingrained in us, whether it's TV, parents, society. If you see something dark, it's evil.
yeah,
That dark shot. It's the lighting, it's the way they manifest, it's the amount of energy they have behind. Some just come through darker than others, but when you're new and you're seeing dark things, or as a kid, I mean, yeah, it's terrifying. I have a portal, literally there, my bedroom door, and then the next bedroom door is here, and there's a portal right there in the middle. And I'm still in the same apartment that I was back when everything figured out. And so I knew there was something there. So I slept with either my door shut or I slept not facing the door for a couple years until this one person came into my life and helped me with that situation.
yeah. Irene you have two portals in your house?
Yeah, I got one. Well, I got one in the corner, one here, one over there, and the dark ones come over here.
Oh, geez. That sounds like a full house.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
deal with I deal with dark ones like you do.
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
yeah, and
Speak.
I'm really not scared of them, right? I'm saying, okay, you're not going to do this. You're going to do this. I'm going to send you away. Like,
Yeah.
either or, right?
Yep.
Pick your
You,
choice. You got multiple choice. Which one do you want to choose? And they said, okay, I'll listen to you.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And the other thing is that people, they hear scratching, they hear banging,
Mhm.
most of these spirits, they don't know how else to communicate. They need help. They're scared, the ones that haven't crossed.
Yeah.
And so just having a conversation with them usually can take it from a 10 to a 5 instantly.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
speaking of, we'll see if anything pops up around here, just heads up. My house is not warded except for anything that wants to come in and harm me. So, and I live next to a funeral home. So it's stuff coming through all the time. So things
Irene's
get
house the same
wonky.
way.
That's why I'm doing this all the time, right? I'm going, and my cat's screaming and yelling because he sees spirits too.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
My
be a
birds don't
long morning.
my birds don't react too much, although I have a cockatiel that actually I got when I lived in Japan and brought her back, and she'll be walking on the ground, and then she'll start sidestepping and, like, looking up at something, and, like, I'm like, "There's nothing there." Obviously, there probably is. But, yeah. But other than that, they don't get too bothered, thankfully.
I have seen the most I have seen the most, sh shadow figures here in Japan than I have anywhere else, just in a short amount of time.
Oh, I wish my abilities were kicked in back then. God, I wish they
Yeah,
were.
Yeah, mine
because
too. I got into a little bit late too, but the ones that Amanda has are kind of like old.
Mhm.
The ones that we have here are totally different. Like you get your suicide, you get your old age who died at old age. You get all these different majority. Like it's like a multiple choice here. And her side, they want you to know they're there, but then they just go away or they'll stand there and watch you. That's
Yeah.
the side that she has on their side. It's just totally different from where I have on my side.
Yeah.
Like her side is harmless, right? My side can be dangerous if you don't be careful.
It sounds like we have very similar similar
yeah,
guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be just something calmly walking through, "Hey, how's it going?" And then there's times it's like, "Okay, how did you get through the one ward I do have?" You know?
Yeah.
And, I have guardians, like house guardians and stuff like that, spirits that, sometimes I have to be like, "Hey, give you a little hand here." So,
yeah. I remember the first time I moved into the apartment here in Japan. I was out walking my dog at night, and I just saw the clearest shadow figure I've ever seen just standing up the road watching me, and it was to the point where I could see it so clearly. It's just right there. I was just like, am I imagining this? And I just
Mhm.
didn't know what. And my dog at the time she just turned 2, so she was still very puppy like. Where she saw a person, she had to like run and go sniff them and investigate. And if she couldn't go, she tried pull, and she did a kind of cry because she's like, I want to see the person. She starts doing that to the shadow figure. I'm like, okay, my dog sees this, so it's
yeah.
not just me.
Yeah, that's the thing on the birds. I'm sitting there going, like, something walks in, I'm looking at the birds, like, for a reaction, and my big Amazon's on top of his cage, just like them, dum. It's like, okay, well, kind of maybe I need to get a cat again. When my ex took the cat with him, so I now have my little warning system.
I think Irene's too.
Uh, do, what do you say when? Okay, I do a lot of house. I get rid of the whatever they have in their houses. Most of my clients are in down south. Okay, so I get Alabama. I get all those other places down south. They said I got a devil in my house. I go, oh really?
Yes. Yes, because Lucifer or whoever, depending on who you Google, they sometimes give it, is just hanging out in your house because he has nothing else to do.
and and then I start laughing. I go, oh really now? Like let me see. And then I go through the house. I can sit here and I can go through the house. I said,
Yeah.
nah, you ain't got no devil in that house. He goes, oh really? What do I got? Just a lot of entities. That's all. They go, oh really? I go, yeah. There ain't no devil in your house. Like, and I'm sorry, but I have to laugh at it, right? I'm
I do too. It's one of my
it's
pet peeves when people do that, actually. It's like,
yeah.
oh, not everything is a devil.
No, no.
Yeah,
And then
Not
also
everything's a demon.
that's
I said,
why that's one of the
yeah,
reasons why I broke away from the church. Is that's the one thing they teach you is no matter what it is, it's a demon.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you get older, you're like, no, quit
No.
scaring everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
This
Well,
is why they
and
can't find peace. Is you're scaring everyone with a gift, saying, "Oh, if you see it, it's asking for help. It's actually a demon in disguise trying to take your soul
yeah.
and bring you to
Now,
hell or whatever."
now, are there some demons that, yeah, there's a hierarchy, just like there is with angels or anything
yeah,
else,
Yeah,
right? You know,
I
you get your
realize
low
that.
end ones. Those, yeah, you might get some of those. But the way I always tell people, I said, you know, like, oh, well, you know, I do this or that with demons. Okay, well, unless you're having coffee in the morning with an angel, you're not drinking beer with a demon at night. So
Yeah, yeah,
stop.
yeah. You know, they may be dark spirits,
Yeah.
they may be shadow figures, but there sure ain't no demons.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I just actually a couple months ago met my first like really I've met degraded like human spirits,
Mm-hmm.
but met one that was kind of in the middle and kind of saw
Mm,
some of the
yeah,
process. You know, and human spirits, they can if they died and didn't cross under traumatic or
yeah.
whatever circumstances, they do. They can come through
Mm,
just really ugly, and that's what I'll call them when I come across those ones really pissed off, very they want to hurt you, they want to do things they've just kind of degraded, and I call them uglies for that reason.
we
But they're still
uh
human.
we had one here. Like we have a 7-Eleven store, and then we have a road where it's kind of busy, right? And my husband was getting off the bus stop from work, and he was crossing the street, and he got hit by a car, and I couldn't figure out why. And then uh, this last year in the summertime, somebody else got hit by a car, but on his bicycle. I said, "That's weird." Well, after they finished cleaning up the accident, I went outside and I saw this really nasty. I don't know what it was. It was dark. It just didn't have a face. It didn't have a figure, a form at all. And he looked at me, glared at me, went, ha 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 ha. I can do whatever I want. I said, oh no, you can't. Not what yeah. I said, like hell you are. And then and I said, so you're the one who's causing all these accidents, right? He goes, and he looks at me and I said, okay, I got it. He was murdered.
Yeah.
And that place where the 7-Eleven store was now was a farm field. And his body was dumped in the corner.
Oh wow.
And that's what I found out. And then somebody stabbed him, okay? Came back really angry. And so he came up whenever he felt like it, causing these car accidents, right? The last one that he caused was fatal, and the guy on the bicycle died. So yeah. And you know, my husband wound up on crutches. It was a good thing he didn't break anything, but yeah, it was pretty bad. And that was in November. And the guy who he killed was in July, in the summertime. So I had to get rid of him, and I got rid of him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had some help, and we got rid of him. But yeah, he was just like he used to pace up and down, up and down, up and down underneath a lamp post. And I said, "Yeah, you're not gonna do this. You're not gonna bother me." And the way he looked, made the hair on my arm go like this. It just, yeah, it stood up. And even though I knew that he wasn't gonna bother, my whole body went, "Okay, this guy's not very good." And then he's
Yeah.
just staring at me. I said, "Okay, I'm walking home."
Yeah. Every once in a while, one of those will come in. It's just like, okay, I can't. You're giving me the heebie-jeebies. Just get out of here. Like, I don't want you
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, nobody knew why that happened in that
Yeah.
corner, and I kind of like went outside right after the car accident, and I looked at it and I said, "Oh, there you are." He looked at me, goes, "What do you want?" Kind of like one kind of face. I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you're doing this, aren't you?" He goes, "Do I care?" Like and I know he did it. I know he did it. But yeah.
You know, if he did it because just a, this is just the thrill of it, like I can, or it's just is he trying to get, I want to say company? Like I'm gonna kill people, so I'm not alone right here.
Oh, I think it's been a troubled spot for a long time before we moved here, right? And like every once in a while, an accident would happen, and nobody knew why. And until I came along, and I found it, and it's just like my husband said, they should put crosswalks on there. They don't have street. They only have one light going that way and one light all the way on the other side of the street, but they don't have anything in between where people walk when they get off the bus, because they like to walk across the street and go home. And that was the same time when my husband was doing it, and he got hit by a car. Yeah, but I mean, geez, like, you don't think of it, right? You really don't.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why. And it's, oh, that must be just a crazy place. That must be, yet the cars go by there really fast and it's really busy. Yeah, there's another reason why, right? And it's paranormal.
Yeah,
And
that probably happens in a lot more places than people realize.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And there's an answer why. And you know what? If you ask the police, they're not gonna tell you anything. Say, oh yeah, that's just normal, you know. Yeah, like, oh yeah. And if I say anything, they're gonna say, "Oh, you're loony."
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just get that look where you just know, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything.
It's like that's why anything in the beginning, I know better not to.
Yeah.
It's like the show Ghost Whisperer, where anytime Melinda would talk to a spirit, and if spirit would be like, "My body's there," or "The weapon is there," she would just kind of, she'd tell the police, but then they'd be like, "Well, how'd you know that if you're not involved?" And she's like, "How do I answer this?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like, oh hey, I can help you solve this crime. Oh really? Then you must have had something to do with it, and then you become a suspect. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna stay in one of the episodes,
the policeman looked at her and they're like, "How come every time there is murder, you're around?" And she doesn't really have an answer.
Well, I kind of like, no. That's the same thing that happened to my friend's property. It was built it was 1800s. It was really old. And there's a body there, there's a body there, there's a body there, and there's a body there. He goes, how do you know? I just know. And he goes, and I said, well, you better call the police. And he goes, nah, not going to do that.
No, because, yeah. I mean, unless they've been there for, decades and decades and decades,
yeah.
Then you can kind of like scientifically prove that he couldn't have done it for that. I'd just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. And he said, I'm not going to say anything. I go, what? Because if they try to contact you, how do you know? Well, yeah. Like,
yeah. Although I think it would be fascinating to, work on crimes and do stuff like that. So
I do cold cases every once in a while. Yeah, but half of them usually have children involved, and I don't like doing those.
Yeah, I don't, as a medium, I don't tend to work with kids. But my best friend, like, I'll be like, she does similar stuff. I'll be like, go see her. You go that way. She sends me the ugly ones and I send her the kids. And that's just, my own personal preference. There's no real good reason. It's just, it's a lot different. And I'm not a mother, so it's harder for me to relate to.
So. I don't have a choice. Like, I get what I get. And usually 90% of the time they're children, right?
Yeah.
I know who John Benny Ramsey. I know who killed her too. I'm not going to tell you, but I know what happened.
I wanted to know.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
This is why and Irene and I have talked about this before. We want to see for this reason, the Lizzie Borden house. Yeah. Just because there's so many conspiracy theories of something else actually happened.
That would be interesting. And I don't know where is that located? I'm horrible with I know it's stories, but not necessarily
I keep thinking about that too. I don't remember where that is located.
New York.
New York?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a little ways. But, it's one of those things where, I'm not into the paranormal investigation as someone who helps the dead, going in and like trying to prove that they're alive. Like I want to go in and like heal them and make them go home, be at peace. Yeah. But the girl I mentor does have a paranormal investigative
Salem, Massachusetts.
Group. Okay. See, okay.
I love doing live podcasts. People can correct me when I don't know stuff.
But yeah, so my girl that I mentor, she has a paranormal group. So one of those things where, she ever gets a chance and they decide to go that way, I might tag along on something like that. That would be cool.
You're lucky. Yeah, that part. I do
Yeah.
all of it. I do all of it. I do the paranormal. I do the crossing over. I do everything.
Her group is really good. They don't provoke. They respect it. She's kind of like my mentor is all on the light side.
Yeah.
I'm medium and she's kind of in between us.
Yeah.
So she tries to help the dead and she tries to help like the people when it's a residence or whatever, or, does the typical, videos and all that. So like I'm going on a big one with her in a month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're actually, I can say it. We're going to Trans-Allegheny.
Nice.
Yeah, so in a month. And so I'll be there. I'm also like the protector because of what I do.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of new mediums going with us too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Gotta take care of them.
Right? Well, my mentor's going as well. And so my mentor is helping my mentoree take care of the new mediums. I'm gonna just go, make sure no one gets in trouble or gets any
I was gonna say,
severe
I'm like, I can only imagine what you are gonna end up seeing there.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna put it up here because I don't. I'm sure she wouldn't mind, but I don't have her permission. But I will send you because she'll do a live, I'm sure, stream of it. So I'll send you the group name separately. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Irina's had to help me here with some because it's and I've been taking pictures because especially at night. I told Irina I stopped walking my dog at night or at all because it's just there's so much stuff down here, especially with like if you look out my window, you can see the bay where the base is. So there's all that stuff there too.
Oh yeah.
Remember, okay, Nagasaki was the prime area for the atomic bomb, so you're gonna get spirits who are wandering, who died, who were killed in the bomb. They're gonna be wandering. They're gonna be going all over the place, right? And they're gonna be looking for something or someone, right? And they're gonna be wanting closure too. So you're gonna have those spirits around there that's asking something, right?
Yeah, that is the one regret I have when I lived in Japan. The 4 years were there, we never got out there. And I have been drawn to Nagasaki and Hiroshima and to that time frame and the Girl of 1,000 Cranes. Like I did a book report of that when I was like a wee child. And that's the one thing I regret that I never was able to do a trip out and experience out there. Huh?
And it was something else. Let's put it that way. I got kicked out of the podcast 3 times. They went after my knees 3 times because I got rotten knees, and they went after my knees 3 times. I was packing my crystals, right? It didn't do darn thing for me.
Like
dang, I had obsidian, I had I had tiger, I had my crystals, I had everything, and and I had, well, so much for that idea. And my hotel was haunted because the lady came to me when I was sleeping. I go, she goes, hi. And I go, what do you want? Like, really? I mean, what time is it? It's 4 o'clock in the friggin' morning. Jeez. She goes, well, I just came to say hi. I go, yeah, hi, bye.
Yeah, that is the one thing. My bedroom, that was the first boundary because I'm huge on boundaries, even more so than protections. You got your boundaries in place, you got your spirit team in place, like because everything I do a whole bunch, like my friend calls it dream walking, dream magic, dream magician, things like that. And I do a lot of stuff, visual and subconscious. Like I can go into like a vision walk is what I call it quite easily. But I'm also very susceptible, as we all are when we sleep, and so the only place I can't get attacked in my house, but man, as soon as I fall asleep, oh yeah, I've got some stories on that. Some, things trying to like drag me away or it's always interesting. But I've learned over the years to do it. But that was the first thing is like locking down my bedroom. When I say goodnight,
Mhm.
You don't. Nothing comes walking in. You can stand at the doorway, but you're not coming in. Do they all listen? Of course not. They do whatever the heck they want. But I do have like a house guardian, like I've said, and things like that. So they help in times like that when I'm sleeping to try to knock it back.
Yeah, they don't come here. But if I go on vacation, yeah, I forget to do everything when I go on vacation. And that happens to me every time I go on vacation. My home is safe.
Yeah.
But not when I go away. I could do something about that. I gotta bring more pink salt when I go on vacation.
We see the comments, so we just
Yes.
sometimes we do see the comments.
And no, I haven't seen your video. I'll go check that out though. So, yeah, no, my thing is like boundaries. That's when I mentor and stuff is boundaries first. And when I mentor in the witchcraft side of things, not everyone, of course, is a medium or works with deities or works with any kind of energy like that. But I always try to put spirit teams. We all have them. We all have guards and guardians and ancestors, whoever that are around us, guides. And those are like my boundaries and spirit teams. If you don't want to subscribe to those two things, then I'm not going to work with you, because that makes such a difference. So I don't have to remember like my crystals when I go out and stuff like that, because that translates with me as I go. Does it always work? Of course not. It's never 100%.
No.
It's have our moments.
No. Never a dull moment either, right?
Huh?
Never a dull moment either.
No, thankfully, if I'm because where I work is got a lot of Native American spirits there, and just where I work, people bring stuff in and stuff. Thankfully, I can, if I'm focused enough in work, I can like kind of push it off. But the minute I stop, like I've walked in my office and there was a 16-year-old girl. She was not alive, trying to get on her social media. She had just recently passed. Trying to get on her social media, like looking at my computer, seeing if she could get on. I'm like, you can't use it. It doesn't work that way. You're dead. Yeah. She didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, you're not alive anymore, right? And they go, what? Like,
yeah. People are like, oh, be careful. Be careful. They don't know that. I treat them the same way I treat the living, very bluntly.
Yeah.
So sometimes they don't appreciate that, just like the living, but
we've actually had something similar to that. One of the workplaces I used to work for, it's like an old manager still haunting a place, and the people in the office, and out of nowhere you just hear typing, and they'll be alone and look over, and like the screen is typing, and guy is using his old login and trying to log in, and it's just really weird. And I was like, that is my worst nightmare, to die and you're haunting the place you worked.
Yeah.
Like, that is my worst fear. And I was like, what's your worst fear? Dying and haunting a place I worked at.
Oh, I keep telling everyone that if I die before them, that I'm not going to cross, and I'm going to come and I'm going to haunt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Work or
not.
Thing.
I say the same thing. I'm like that also.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of dying. I'll cross when it's time, but I'm going to have some fun first.
We're going to have
a party at an auto parts store. I used to also work in an auto parts store that still had someone haunting there. Like they'd open the store, it'd be the two employees open the store, and they walk in and they see him like running, and you see everything moving where he was running. And I saw him before, because I saw him walking, and usually it's somewhere where customers aren't supposed to be. And I recognized this. I started following him, walked over, and then just disappeared. And one of the employees are like, yeah, that's the ghost. You'll see it. We're all used to it by now. And I'm like, really? Like, yep. And everyone has a tale where they see it. They're like, yeah, you'll see it. You're like, hey, you can't be back here. It just disappears, and you're like, what? Like, yep, it's normal. Like, this is my worst fear.
Oh yeah, I'll walk out on the sales floor some morning because I work at two different locations. One of them, really nothing, but the other one is the one has Native American, because it's on that type of land, or on their land, and I'll walk into the sales floor, and there'll just be a random person just being there. I've unfortunately over the last 10 years, we've had a couple of employees die. And every once in a while I'll see them, they'll come back and it's more just to give me and another coworker a hard time. Because he fully believes in all of it and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, something weird just happened. I'm like, Freddie's here. He just came to say, hey, brother. So, yeah, all my employees know that I'm this way. I actually have like an altar in that office. And I'll sit there and they kind of see me going like this. They'll be like, some of them are like, okay, cool. What'd you see? And other people are like, please don't do that. You're scaring me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple employees that don't like to walk into certain areas of the building because I told them what's there.
Yeah.
Oops.
It seems like every time I work at someplace, it's always someplace that's haunted.
Okay, but here's a question: what place isn't haunted?
Yeah, tell me about it. Right. Well, actually, my house is clean. Except for that, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good. Just if you look down the back hall to the back bedrooms where the portal is, it's a highway. It just kind of goes through one room, through the portal, and out through the kitchen.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking, doing this. I go, okay, I got that. I see that. I see that. I see that. I'm doing that. And I go, interesting.
Yeah, it's like I'll sit there and walk from my bedroom to the back bathroom, and I'll say like hello because I just see someone out of the corner of my eye standing in my kitchen. I'm like, what up?
Yeah,
and just keep going. So,
and the more you ignore it, the more they don't bother you, right? It's the thing that when you recognize that they're there, then they'll say, "Oh, you can see me, you can see me, you can see me." I go, "Yeah, so what?" Like I get bombarded all the time. I go, "Yeah, I can hear you. Take a number, okay?" Like I'm not gonna deal with you now. Like, and when I take a bath, I said, "That's the worst place." Take a bath.
Why do they always come in when you're in the shower? Tell me.
Yeah. Taking a bath is another story, right? Because water is energy, right?
Yep.
So that's why they come.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Never fails. I'll sit there, long day, incense, candle, turn off the lights, just this feels
my
nice.
time, right? You got your my time, and then you're laying there, you go,
walks in.
Like,
why?
What? Like, yeah.
Well, and being a witch, I work with deities, and so like a date, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Come on now. You know better.
Yeah, this is my time. This is my space, my time. You want something? Talk to me afterwards, right?
Yeah. I have a whole room dedicated to that.
Yeah.
Wait till I'm sitting. That's what this is. Wait till I'm sitting there,
Yeah. And usually when I say take a number, they usually don't bother me anymore. But some of them are going like, can you help me? Can you help me? I go, with what? And they go, oh, I don't know. I go, yeah. Come back when you tell me what you need help with. Really?
Yeah.
Like some of them are just like that. Most of them are children. I go, yeah.
So I used to live in Montana, and one of my first apartments, and I didn't know this until after I rented the place, was it was an old hospital back in the day.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I couldn't take a shower in my shower because it's just a shower. It was again metal doors, but I would have nearly panic attacks every time I was in there because I just did not feel safe. But I also did not feel safe in that bedroom, so I always slept in the living room because there's something in there. I think that must have been like one of the hospital rooms. Something in the actual bedroom does not make me feel safe. So I never entered the bedroom, and people never really understood. People didn't really know I had a bedroom for like the longest time when I first came over because I never went there. When they see me asleep, it's in the living room. It was on the living room, so I just got used to it. And they're like, "You have a bedroom?" Like, I just something about it because I just didn't feel safe. I felt so watched. I did not feel alone at the time because I was learning my abilities then. So I still didn't fully know them, so it kind of freaked me out more. I just didn't feel something about that spirit just did not make me feel safe. And then finally, they moved me across the hall because it was bigger, had a bathtub. So I moved across the hall, and that one, unfortunately, that one was still haunted. But it was weird because that was where my apartment was. The reason why I didn't feel as insecure is because that was the waiting room. It was where you checked in.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only one spirit. I mean, there was a spirit that haunted in it, that stayed in there all the time. It was it was just a 17-year-old boy. I don't know why he was always there. I never got the answer, but I saw him one night. He's sitting in the chair looking out the window. And I remember thinking, am I actually seeing this? Because it was clear like a person. I just saw him, looked over. I just saw him. He's just sitting there. And then I had a friend come over months later that was the clairvoyant. And he was like, you have a 17-year-old boy who stays in this apartment. He just wants to live his life. And he described what this person looks like. I'm like, I've seen him. And they're like, I know. I'm like, okay, so I did not imagine that. But yeah, that place was so haunted because of that reason. I wish I didn't know at the time it was a hospital before that.
But Amanda, the supplies or the building material that they use to make the bathroom, the walls, I mean, it has a lot to do with it too, like if they use limestone or if they use something like that to make the mortar or whatever.
I don't know. It wouldn't have been limestone. It was I think it was the big brick building, but I don't know what they used with the little, I don't know, concrete, whatever it is.
But, stuff like that, the supplies that they use to make certain things does create energy also. So you really have, so this, oh, no wonder, right? Yeah.
I couldn't, and then and then on the floor above is where I had to go to the laundry room, and there was a not so nice energy up there that I freaking hated doing my laundry because it's just I knew that thing was watching me. To the point where there's times I had to run out because I'm like, I don't feel safe with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how when everything kind of started for me and stuff, and there was everything. I mean, we locked down this house this apartment the best we could. But stuff still came through, and it's just like, I mean, there were times that I slept on the couch because everything tend to like congregate, in the back is, here's the front of the apartment. There's a living room's right here. Then, all the way in the back is past the kitchen. Everything is my bedroom.
Yeah.
And there were times I was out sleeping on the couch because it was just uncomfortable. And then, over time with me, working, like I said, one day I opened my sliding glass door and I felt like 1,000 razor blades hit my torso. And I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. This is my house. Out.
Yeah.
Like, no. And that, I think from that point on, that's where my boundaries kicked in. And I was just like, not happening. And instead of going, okay, I'm going to just go over here, now it's like something wants to,
yeah,
be a jerk. I step forward to it,
Yeah. And claim it yourself, claim it your own, and say, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to make me feel this way.
Yep.
And a lot of times when I do house cleansing too, I usually tell the owner, now claim it your house. Tell them to leave and claim it your house. I usually make the house owner say it because it's your house, right?
You have to. It's the whole owner of the house thing where.
Yeah. I say, why do I have to say it? Because it's your house. That's why. You want your house back? Yeah. Well, say it then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, and I always tell them, don't sit there and go, excuse me, can you not be here? No, say it with conviction. Say it with, that's what I told my mentoree when she was getting into stuff. And she just hit this point where she was like, I am so done with this. Like, I'm about ready to kick everything out. I'm like, that's the energy you need. You can't half-fast it.
Say it that you mean it. Say it that you mean it. Use a voice that you mean it.
Yeah. Just, if you have to say it with the same knowledge. Like, that's what I always tell people. Like, if you're going to sit there and say, this is my house and you can't hurt me and you can't do this, you better have the same oomph behind it that you can sit there and say, I am sitting in this chair and I'm breathing right now, or I'm having this conversation with you ladies. Like that same conviction, that same knowing.
Exactly. And that's what I find very
Montana in
important.
general is just, I realize it is so haunted.
Yeah.
But there's also conspiracy theories from people in a paranormal over there on some of that stuff, though, too.
Huh. Let's look into that.
What isn't a conspiracy theory? Okay, show me something that's not a conspiracy theory.
But
right?
also at the same
True.
time, like I lived in Laurel, Montana, which is right next to Billings, Montana, where they both had what is those things called? I can't think of the name, but they both had the some major power towers that if you weren't careful could easily explode. But there's two of them, so I think a lot of with that it was the energy from those. Because a lot of people said over there, like if you walked around that area, you'll definitely hear or see stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I wish everything was kicked in when I was in Japan. That would have been awesome, because I was thinking about when you said something a little bit ago about working, when you were at work and saw the ghost. When I was there on the base that I was at, I worked on base and would close it down, and stuff like that, the building. And everyone in that building is like, it's haunted. And I could feel it. I've always been able to feel, I've always known when something's there. But yeah, I it's like nothing else. I want to go back because I want to figure out who's in that building.
Yeah.
Who was I interacting with, or because I'd say, okay, good night.
That's what I'm saying is I have so many unanswered questions from back in the day that I'm like, man, I wish I knew what I knew now back then. So I'd love to travel back then and just try and get answers for myself. Because now that I know what I'm doing, I'm like, man, looking back at so much stuff I could have done a lot differently, especially in Montana, especially in some of the places I lived, especially growing up. Because I mentioned this earlier in the show, as a minister's daughter. And the house we lived in was on the church property, but it was still haunted. Like you'd be home alone in a house, but you'd hear really loud footsteps clearly walking around your house, where everyone in the household has had that experience where they thought they're alone, but heard someone audibly walking. Or even at night, we'd hear someone like just loud footsteps. And especially like the church, and I always tell people this, like the church, they're really haunted. A lot of people are like, well, they can't be because that's, they preach on God. And I'm like, no, they actually don't care.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and as someone else, when I keep saying this, because a lot of people, if you don't know, you think that's crazy. Then finally, when I met someone, I was like, no, I know what you're talking about. I've been in plenty of haunted churches, but they also it makes sense if you think about it. Because think about it, there's weddings, there are funerals. So you have both those energies. But think about the people once a week who go there on Sundays. I guess you do have your normal church going people. I'm not calling everyone out. I am saying there's normal people who go to church for reasons and live good lives. But there's also a lot of people who go there that just go there to be like, I'm better than you. Yeah. Or there's also those people who go there that only go there to feel better about the sitting they're doing the rest of the 6 days a week. And it's just, they clear the conscience kind of thing. Like, yeah, you have all that energy there on Sundays. So that they love feeding off that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, our actions, like where I work, trying without getting too in detail, but like a lot of people will be stressed out and things like that. Or if I've even had it with the employees in the past, I had 2 employees that were just having like a really horrific week, a lot of stress, a lot of anger, family stuff, whatever. And they like channeled in stuff. I'm like, would you guys stop? You're channeling. There's enough crap in this building already. You're just channeling more, but now you're channeling the not fun stuff.
The negative energy goes with it, and it just makes the room heavier.
Yeah. So, but yeah, where I work, people, some people come in already kind of stressed out or whatever, and are there to like relieve stress, and it already happens on a daily basis. And then once your employee's doing it, it's like, okay, come on.
Yeah. like people who live in homes who think they have a spirit in their homes, but actually they don't. Actually, they have a poltergeist because they create.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
and if you have a lot of fighting, if you have a lot of anger, or if you have the children who are at each other's throats all the time, of course it's going to create that environment, and that's why I think when my husband gets stressed, I said, okay, you got to stop this, right? If you don't stop it, it's going to create something in the atmosphere, and we don't want that. We want only positive energy in our home. And yeah, he forgets, right? And I said, no, can't. And he has to catch himself and said, okay, I got to stop this. I said, yeah, you better stop it. But it's what you are, what you create, right? So
well, yeah. And doing what I do and working with what, like I said, the only ward I have on my house is that if it's coming into, nothing can come into my home that is intending to cause me, my birds, or any guests harm. Other than that, because of what I deal with and what I work with, like, it's whatever. But there are times where I'm sitting there and I'm getting like really upset. I'm like, okay, I need to check myself. Is it me or did something come in?
Exactly.
Usually it's just me. It's usually because I'm hangry. This morning I was out running errands until like almost 1. And by the time I got home, I hadn't eaten yet, and I've been up since 6. And I was, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, okay, I need to eat.
You need to
eat. I need to eat before I create a poltergeist.
Exactly, or you become one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They also say poltergeist activity is popular with like teenagers. And they're like, well, think about it. I mean, how teenagers just have a lot of the emotions as it is. So it's easy for them to create a poltergeist without realizing they create a poltergeist. That's why sometimes where people say they have activity, when you go there and investigate, there's none. They're like, bring the teenager back in and see what happens. Cause it might be them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or be a chaos witch, because that's something that's done in chaos magic, is intentionally doing that. So that's one of our I find the more fun side of being a chaos witch. It's not the easiest thing, and it can get out of hand. So it's one of those things you just don't do it willy-nilly here. But there are things called servitors and thought forms and things like that we create. So
when you were in Japan, did you find a lot of schools haunted?
I mean, I never went into any schools, so I couldn't say.
No, but just going by them?
No, at the time my abilities hadn't kicked in. So yeah, I wish they would have, because my downstairs neighbor was into all the stuff that I'm into now.
Yeah, I wish I would have been your friend.
Yeah, we both showed up to the tattoo place, and we were sitting on each other's tables going, hey, you're my upstairs neighbor, you're my downstairs neighbor, as we were getting tattooed at the same time from the same shop. But yeah, no, and she was like, she had her brother or someone had come in and had caused, she was like apologizing in case any energy came up, and I'm like, and my ex-husband, of course, I mean, I would watch him in this apartment just walk through things. It would just poof. No, he was part of the reason why we're not together. He couldn't handle this side of me. But yeah, she's sitting there and she was talking about saging and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. Probably that. And I had a dream that my dad was visiting me. I'm like, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look like my dad. What the? And one of the traumatic events that happened in that 5-day period was finding out that my dad that raised me was not my biological dad at 40. And it was my biological dad that had visited me when I lived in Japan, when he died back in 2010. So, there were a lot of signs back then that it was starting to happen. I think I was starting to hit the beginnings of the spiritual awakening. But it didn't kick for a few more years after that. So
there are a lot of, everyone comes into it differently, and everyone has different mediums, and every medium is totally different, and every medium
Mhm.
something, and a lot of times a lot of them are different. I have my 3 children are all Scooby-Doo, spooky also. So yeah,
Yeah.
my mom was, my kids are like, that's all we talk about sometimes.
Yeah. No one in my family is, if they are, I mean, I talk very little to farther than, the biological mom and the dad who raised me. So if anyone is, it's always been kept quiet, you
Or they're not
know.
gonna tell you right. They're not gonna tell you right. They're not gonna
Yeah.
say.
Now, my best friend growing up, I've known her since I was 3 or 4, I should say. Her mom passed away I lived in Japan, so 2012, because I was there for the Honshu quake, and I think it was after that. And so I had flown back and stuff, and her mom has come to me, and apparently through my mentor, because it was back in the beginning, she apparently did have abilities and stuff and always kept them from the family and the kids and everything. But she saw it in me when I was a kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was always interested. I was like, it'd be so cool to be able
That's
to see ghosts. And then I can see ghosts. I'm like, ah,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
one
want
reason
to see.
why I'm scared to do it, because
yeah.
there's times where I have, and it's not the most pleasant thing ever, and that's why I'd rather leave that to Irene, because I'm just like, I'd rather block it as much as I can. But a lot of times they're like, no, because there's been times where, like, back in Montana, I remember seeing one. It was an old soldier who died in battle. Saw him. I saw one that scared me one day. Luckily, I was driving down the road. There's no one behind me. Slammed on my brakes because I saw on the side of the road an accident victim, but he was smashed in too.
Oh,
So he was like severely cut, and like you could tell, like he must have been he must have slid underneath something,
Yeah.
because he usually like kind of smashed right there. But
yeah,
it was not a pleasant sight to see.
no. In like third eye seeing in that sense, like that's never bugged me. Sometimes seeing how they've died happens. Seeing them unalive themselves, I've seen that. I also work on the healing side. That's actually, I kind of spent my 4 years really solidifying myself with the other side, the darker side, and getting my boundaries and my mediumship. Now I'm kind of over onto my healing side, which is how I originally started down this path, which it was just too boring. I wanted to go play with the scary stuff. So now I'm back over on that and helping people with that. Like, third eye visions and stuff are great. Physical eye scared me. I was like, I don't want to see with my physical eye. I don't, and now it's like, okay, but it'll still, like, if I see one, it'll still kind of make me jump back because it doesn't happen physical eye a lot. And when I do, it kind of gets that heart racing, but it's a good thing. Like, oh, that was cool. Let me see you again.
Yes.
But I just begged and begged in the beginning. Like, I can't. The thought of seeing them just scared me horribly.
Yeah.
What do you say about people who say, you know what, that's a cool gift, I want that too? That's it. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want it.
You say so you start seeing the actual
Yeah.
spirits, especially how they die.
Yeah.
It depends on who the person is, because, like, the girl I mentor, when people say that to her, because she's very big into like TikToks and being on things like and doing stuff like this, mostly TikTok lives and that kind of stuff. And people, she's like, no, you don't want it. Depending on the people, there's some people it's like, yeah, no, you wouldn't, no, you don't. And then there's other people that I think, it would be a tough road, but I think you would actually be okay with it. So it kind of depends on the person, but it's not something to take lightly.
It's not, no.
It's not for everybody, right?
No.
And with this responsibility, grave responsibility, and there are things that I can't tell another person. There are things that I have to keep to myself. There's stuff that I'm going to take to my grave, because I can't tell that person, because it'll just make a mess of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And there are things that you have to be very careful about how much you talk about and how much you can't talk about. So there is a lot of, it's not that easy, right? And you have to be very careful and cautious about how much you talk about, how much you can talk about, and how much you won't talk about. Um, I just a lot of stuff that I know that I cannot tell that person what really happened to their sister or to happen to their son.
Yeah.
If I do, I'm gonna be up. Yeah, I'm gonna be in big trouble if I do. So I'd
I
rather
think,
not say it.
well, and I think I mean, like we've already established, like, you and I all three of us can be clairvoyant and we're all going to see different. Like, so everything's different, but that also what we do as mediums and how we are as mediums are different. You know, I have a big issue with, like, something, I know something bad's going to happen in the future. That's one of the things that I have asked repeatedly, because I've gotten a few premonitions and stuff. I'm like, that is not a gift I want.
Nope.
No,
I
I've
don't.
had
And that's why I do tarot and stuff as well. And that's why I'm very hesitant to really, like, put it out there as part of my, with my business, because people are like, oh, what's going to happen? And, it's like, the
Like,
future's not set. You can choose
you
things
really
to
want to know,
change.
or if you tell them something, but you have to do this, and they don't do it, and they say, well, they come back to you. Well, that didn't happen to me. Why not? Like,
Exactly.
that's one reason why I don't want my fortune ever told to me, because I've had people ask me about my fortune told to me, and I'm like, no. And a lot of people said, yeah, that's actually smart, because what people don't realize, you're told something that is going to happen. Like, and they said one person I knew, it was in their cards that they were going to get a promotion, and the person had it in their head. Okay, I'm already getting this promotion, so they started kind of slacking off, not doing what they were supposed to do anymore.
And they didn't get it.
And they didn't get it, and they're like, "Well, why?" And they're like, "That's why you gotta be careful with knowing your future. Is sometimes you can change it without realizing it."
Yeah. Well, and that's why when I do tarot or use it, it's for, like, someone's like, oh, well, will this relationship be the one for me? Well, let's work on you. Are you ready for this relationship? Like, what healing do you got? Like, do we have some shadow work, some inner childs that need to be hugged? And so I use it for that kind of stuff when I use it. For my close friends, we'll just do whatever. And of course, for me, I'm sitting there asking, like, will this happen tomorrow? And I'm doing yes, no with my tarot going, I'm just totally being hypocritical. But I just, as a medium, that's where I have the issue, is like the future things. When it comes to, I don't do readings with people. I don't do mediumship readings like, hey, your so-and-so is here, your sister's here, your brother's here, your parents are here. And this is the things that happen. I don't do those readings in any way, shape, or form. So I don't have that responsibility that Irene does of, like, I can't say things.
I used to do those. I used to be really
I
good at doing
refuse.
those.
I will not do them.
I used to do those, to be honest with you, because I thought it was something I was going to do, but then it's just, I don't know, it's just, it sometimes it's good because it's healing when you get some of the messages. Sometimes other than that, it's just like, I wish I didn't do that. So it's just like, I just stopped doing it.
Yeah. My path with the dead is as a psychopomp, which is helping them get to, the happy side, which also is similar to being a death witch. I think we're a little different, but really I haven't figured out how. But I am here. You're an unhappy dead spirit. Let's get you healed. Let's get you happy. Let's get you home, wherever home is for you, whatever you call it, right? Heaven or whatever. Every once in a while, will spirits come through when I'm talking to people? Of course. And, I'll give messages if they do, but I'm very selective on that, because then it can just turn into this whole thing. And like I said, it's not my path. It's not that I sit there and
the thing is that
intentionally don't do it. It's just, it's not my path. That's just not what I do.
Sometimes when people ask me, my grandma died, does she have a message for me? I said, and I look and I said, sorry, yeah, she doesn't have a message. She goes, I thought you could see them. I go, yeah, I can see dead people. But I mean, not everyone has a message, and not everyone wants to say something, and not everyone can come through, right?
Yeah, and that's the other problem. They expect that, oh, well, you can't get my grandma, so obviously you're fake. I
Yeah.
can't force a spirit to talk to me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Doesn't work that way. It's not like I can tie them to the chair and say, speak.
Yeah. Not all of them will be willing to talk to.
No.
All of them
Some
won't.
really want nothing to do with us.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
My grandfather's that way. Both of my grandfathers are like, cool, I'm dead. I'm out. Don't try to talk to me.
Yeah. Like, I'm good. Bye. See ya.
Yeah.
Like,
Never get a visit, never get anything for him. My grandma,
no.
my grandma was the one that was in this house. One of the ones that was in this house when everything happened and figured it out. I was a medium. We started figuring out what was going on. There was one ugly, we don't know what it is. Now I wish like you were saying earlier, Amanda, about, going back and being able to figure things out. I think if I have any, it was that one, because I thought this was a big, nasty, evil thing that was going to hurt me. And now I know.
Yeah. And that's
True.
like,
And now I wish I could go help.
someone was saying in comments that their grandma was psychic but incredibly religious and kept it to herself. Yeah, that's one thing we were talking about earlier. Is unfortunately religious people don't view gifts really. They don't usually view them as a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in a Baptist minister's daughter, so it's just I was taught to fear it more because I kind of kept it to myself because it's just they didn't view it as something that was helpful. They viewed everything as everything's a demon in disguise, and it's just all this and that. And you have a gift, you must be possessed. You have a gift, you must have a demon attachment. You can't just be gifted.
Funny, because the Bible says that we are gifted ones. We are the chosen one, right? The people who have the abilities, the people who can see the dead, the people who can talk to the dead, the people who can hear the dead, right? So we are the chosen one, right? But when it comes to down to it, like, yeah, I don't want to know you. Like, yeah, that's a little bit different. Like, why is it so different? Like, what is it that's not right about this? And they said, well, because you're not supposed to do that. I go, why am I not supposed to do that? Show me where I'm not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's really hard. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, where I live is on the outskirts, a very conservative and Christian Catholic. And I work in those communities and stuff. And so some of my employees are like that, but I just want to sit there and be like, okay, I've had employees, they're like, when you die, you go poof and you're gone. You become dirt. You're just energy in the dirt. Like, but you believe in heaven.
Yeah.
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 That assumes that your soul is still in heaven. So how can you just go poof and be nothing?
Yeah. Explain poof, right?
Yeah. You just cease to exist, See, I'm originally from California, so did not have the religious upbringing. I had one person say, well, as long as the voices in your head don't tell you to do anything bad, it's cool with me. I think that was probably the worst thing that I've had so far is, since I didn't have that religious, but like I said, because where I live now, a lot of people I meet that are coming into their gifts do struggle with that, religious upbringing and being able to reconcile that.
Someone said we were given a gift, use it wisely. But that's also going back to the religious part. Is me growing up in the church. Unfortunately, when people found out I had the gift, they started questioning what I did. Is because they assumed that I must be into dark witchcraft or summoning demons, and I'm just like, and I was scared because I was trying to explain that I wasn't doing any of that, but they said you must be lying if you could see them.
Yeah.
You can hear them. Oh, you must be lying. We know you're doing it. We know what you're doing. And it's just, it became I was trying to defend myself. I'm like, I'm not doing anything bad. I swear. I'm not putting hexes on anyone. I swear. But no one believed me. Because if you're gifted, you must be doing something you're not supposed to. And I'm like, I'm not.
No. Yeah. I haven't gotten too much, like I said, I didn't have the religious bit being where I work and who, in the industry and just the locations and stuff like that. I've been lucky because like I'm not wearing it now. I don't tend to wear a lot of jewelry, but every once in a while, I wear my pentagram or Eye of Horse. That's something that's been with me
I got it.
from.
Yeah.
Yep.
She wears that
I
every
have
day. And
my
I'm
yeah.
so jealous of it.
Can you see what is that? Isis and oh Jesus, Skekmet is back there. And out in the other room, I have statues for another handful of them. I mean, Egypt's been my thing my entire life, but and people comment on the Eye of Horus. I have it tattooed actually in Japan. It's on the back of my neck too, and I get comments and stuff like that, but about they're all on the chain together, and that's the Eye of Horus. I'm like, yeah, so chit chat, and the pentagram's right there next to it, and they don't. Say anything.
This is scary. That's frightening. I said, no, it's not. Why is it so frightening, right? Yeah. It was given to me by a Scottish witch, a warlock. Actually,
nice.
This white witch. And he gave this to me as a present. And I wear it all the time. It's just part of me. It becomes so it has my energy in it too. So yeah. And it just helped me see better. It helped me see better too. That's why I wear it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I used to wear that, and then that's just one of those things I took it off because I had to clean it. Periodically, you kind of need to clean stuff. The silver was getting a little tarnished, and to just haven't. It's in my bowl with all my other jewelry. I just never wear. I make like bracelets, and I used to make jewelry, and do stuff like that. And it's like I just never wear it.
I make jewelry too, but I don't wear it. I make it for other people.
Yeah.
I make it for Amanda too.
Nice.
She makes protection bracelets and protection necklaces.
Yeah. It's too far to stretch. I have a whole bowl of them. They're all for different reasons, but most of it, what I do is either protection or healing, and most of the bracelets will go with that. But for me personally, I'll make it for, I make them with some of my precious beads. I'll make it like for my business, business opportunities, things like that. Cause I do have, not that I'm doing anything with it, I do have my business on top of my day job. So I'm just very slow at getting that going. But yeah, so I'll make them for friends or whatever. And then of course to sell.
Irene is definitely not going to want to leave her house next few days. She just had, here in Japan, Tokyo will have more earthquakes than anything. She'll feel things more than I do. She had an earthquake this morning. Unfortunately, anytime any part of Japan has an earthquake, energy is going crazy the next few days. So I'm gonna hate leaving. She's gonna hate leaving more.
I'm actually glad my abilities didn't kick in because I was there for the 9.0, the Great Honcho in 2011, and I left in November 2013. November 2013. So I was there for a couple of years. It was to the point where it took 6 months being in the States before I would stop feeling the phantom quakes. Yeah. Like we all had glasses sitting, so we'd feel like, oh, is that? Oh no, the glass isn't moving. It was just us, But it's to the point where 7.0, aftershocks would hit, and we were in. They have. I'm sure most of the bases do. Okay, I would think they do have like the tall apartments that are meant to deal with the tsunamis and all that.
Yeah.
And we were kind of in the mid level of it, and it was the sliding glass door, or not sliding glass doors, the sliding doors on the closets in base housing that they would start clinking, so to wake you up. And it got to the point, the ex would like kind of maybe go in the doorway or something. I just lay in the bed going. I'd wake up in the morning and there would be messages from the States going, oh my God, there was 2 of them side by side in the 6s and 7s. I'm like, I slept through it, dude. Like I grew up in California on the San Andreas Fault. So
especially Irene will get many earthquakes every year during this earthquake season. So
it starts in March, okay? And it goes right through till summer. And this morning I said, okay, I'd have the earthquake 4:00 in the morning. Go, right, okay. I'm not going to hold up my china cabinet. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, the glass blew up. The one last year blew up the glass on my china cabinet. So that's why I'm a new one. Yeah, my wall got damaged. Yeah. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm not going to wake up for that one. I'm going to go back to bed. Good night.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize in Japan is because they don't hear about it in the United States. So they're like, especially when we had one on the New Year's Day,
Yeah.
people are just like, "Oh, that's so weird. You guys don't usually have earthquakes." I'm like, "We actually do every
It's called the Ring
year.
of
Have a
Fire.
bunch." Yeah, we have a bunch. You just don't hear about it unless it's like a 9 or whatever. But yeah, it's something we're used to over here.
Yep. Once you start hitting the 7s is when usually it makes it a hair. I pay attention because I still, I have because of course when that happened, most of the wives left base, and there, of course, my family is like, "You want to come home because of Fukushima Daiichi meltdown and all that." I'm like, I ain't going anywhere. This is awesome. All the wives are gone. It's nice and quiet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine during that with all those aftershocks for that year and a half what it would have been like had my abilities been kicking in at that point.
Mm.
That sounds scary for
This is
a new
also
medium.
after the
When Fukushima happened, half the condominium the floor went like this. And you
Oh
could
wow.
see underneath the soil. And that condominium was haunted, right? It was
Yeah.
SU condo, right? And it was pretty bad. Like that condo was pretty bad. And yeah, I won't want my enemies living there. And that's when my abilities kicked in living there. Like every day I go, no. And I get attacked every 6 years. It was it was hell on earth. Let's put it that way. You don't want to live there. You don't want your enemies to go there. I mean, if Amanda came around, I wouldn't want to show her that place either because it's not a nice place to see.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have any abilities, it would make you feel really sick. Like it would make you throw up. Exactly. And yeah. And when they started renovating the place, all the spirit activity would yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
it happened. I mean, that's what happens here in Japan is, all this the energy I guess energy is released, so that's why all of a sudden you start feeling it more, you start seeing it more. And we also talked about this in an earlier one. That's also when UFO sightings happen in Japan. It's right after an earthquake. There's also cab drivers after earthquakes, even small ones, will say that's when like a lot of people, especially over there where the major tsunamis hit, will pick up passengers and they'll be solid looking people, and I'll have a conversation with them going home. But once they reach the destination, they turn around to get the fare, and the person has completely vanished, and there's just like a wet seat that's left. So they picked up one of those ghostly hitchhikers trying to find their way home.
I don't even want to know what the Sendai coast has got to be like after that the earthquake in 2011 with the tsunami. The whole train went in.
Yeah. And there's another one, Ishikawa, that with the tsunami.
Yep.
It just changed the whole coast. And, it's near Niigata Prefecture. And that place has no soil, just sand. And that place has a lot of earthquakes. I kind of want to investigate there. Just a little.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my happy butt back to Japan. Like I said, I still have dreams that I go there, but I'm like, oh God, now instead of one bird came from there, so technically, got it from Joyful Honda. Technically, I could probably get her back in. The other one, I don't know how well he'd do. And she came home with a lot of nervous tics after that flight home, because in the state she had to go sit in USDA for 30 days quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for them, like I was talking to one of my old coworkers a couple weeks ago, he reached out and I still keep touch. And I mean, going back on base, DOD job, you get a high enough GI level, they move you back, you get base housing and everything. It's just like, I would love to. But yeah, if I did, I'm with you. You and I would go.
Besides the whole USDA thing with pets, unfortunately now airlines don't are not shipping pets in the airplanes if they're 12 hours or more.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of people here, they'll call the airlines trying to get, the reservation for their pets. And they're like, oh no, sorry, we don't allow pets for 12 hours or more. So
Yeah.
we have to use like pet shippers now, which sucks.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is, I'm being from California. Her name's Ushi, the bird. She could only be flown into LA, Miami, Chicago, I think. And so being from California, I had her flown into Los Angeles. So it wasn't, it was enough. But I was in Japan and flew her out like right as we got the TMO and stuff like that is when we took her and stuff. So I mean, the $75 bird from Joyful Honda cost me $4,000 to get her home back in 2013.
Yeah.
Because I was doing everything remote and trying to deal with like the USDA. Because if you looked at their website, you couldn't import birds. Well, you could, but there were some loopholes. And it was a 30-day quarantine and testing. And if she tested positive for West Nile, or I think it was West Nile, it's something else, something like that.
Yeah, they have to have, every animal has to have shots, and unfortunately also be tested for rabies, since Japan is a rabies-free country.
Yep.
So they have to get they have to get that test.
Yeah, we had a dog.
The results from that.
Yeah, we had a dog in the States before we went, but the day that we were leaving, I realized I just missed it. It was the first time doing something like this, and I missed getting the health certificate, so we couldn't take them. But yeah, we had to go through all of that to take them there. And the cats that I had, because I had a whole bunch of cats, dogs, guinea pigs, birds at the time. And we rehomed, or like, someone took a couple of the cats. One actually had passed away right before. And we drove the other one back down we were at Washington. We drove it back down to California. And my mom took him until he passed while I was there. He was older. And we were going to take the dog. And like the day of, I'm like, I never got the health certificate. Sorry, you're not coming with us. So
yeah, there is a huge list to get a pet here.
Yep. Oh yeah, been there.
Yeah,
that cat has to get attention.
Yes. Yeah, I was surprised my bird's in the dining area and he's not waking up to me talking. So I'm kind of surprised. The other one's in the back of the apartment because otherwise she'd be sitting right here screaming at us. So
you're okay. You're exhausting. You know that. And a pain in the butt. Crazy old fart.
I'd be afraid to travel even with shots, because what if you in a foreign country and can't bring them home and they kick you out? I mean, there is a huge list. I think they check all the paperwork before you're even allowed to fly over there. So it's not like you get there. I mean, they check it before you leave. They obviously, then whatever airport you flew into checks it again over there. But usually they check everything before you even leave, just to make sure you have everything to prevent you from running into that issue. I mean, that's what they did with us. So
people don't think about it. Japan government has an external department in certain countries, right? And if you go to the external department, they will help you if you're going to go someplace with your pet. I mean, yeah.
Well, and doing it as a military, it's a little different than doing it as a non-military as well, because, if you fly in and you're flying into a base, at least this is how it was when we did it. We got there in 2009. If you were flying into the airport and you were like, if I flew into Narita, it would be different. But since I was able to fly into and on straight into base without being outside of it, then they can quarantine at the base vet if it was a dog, and stuff like that. So
that's still how it is. Even if you fly into Narita, if they see that the pet's going to base, they let the quarantine there.
I don't remember if they let us back then, though. I can't remember, but yeah, no. So long as I think it was back in 2009, as long as you were landing on base, you didn't have to quarantine outside of base. but I don't remember for sure. It's been a few years, but I vaguely want to say that if you flew into Narita or Hadina, was that the other one? What's the other
Haneda.
one? Haneda,
Haneda.
thank you. I could see it in my head, but like if you did that, it was the threat was that you would have to quarantine in their facility. At least that's how it was presented to us, the way I remember it.
I think they changed it now, where if you prove you're just going to base, then
that's good.
They kind of let it go, like you just quarantine.
Yeah, except for then you would the getting to base was the problem, because I know our base shuttles wouldn't allow you to bring your animals, so you would have to, like, they had buses, I think, that sometimes would go, or you would have to have someone pick you up.
Yeah. I've had to call Irene, and Irene, I'm sure you remember this. Like I said, base is right behind me. Bay is. So you still see a lot of the hauntings from that. Or there's one night where I'm just like, it's not this bad out. It's a few months ago. It's not that bad out. Maybe I'll just take my dog for an extra, a little bit more of a walk. A nice night out. I'm not really feeling anything much. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had to call Irene because I heard a blood-shattering scream, but you could tell it was a scream, but it didn't sound like it was a living human. And I was just like, what was that? Can you feel what it is? And it was the you said it was, do you want to tell what you felt?
It was just something. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Well, it was a woman. It was American woman.
Yeah.
American woman passed away. Was she pass away into water? Did she drown, or did they throw the body into water?
Something tells me she was strangled. Something tells me that they threw her in the water afterwards.
Okay, yeah, so that's why her soul is out there. But she had a Japanese boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she got pregnant, and he was not happy, so that's why he strangled her.
Oh, jeez.
The same old country.
Yeah. Yet I can't tell you how many divorces I saw in my 4 years because the one spouse decided to go and, grab themselves a Japanese new boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was funny. My best friend, she used to live in the other side of this apartment complex, and she'd come over, whatever, and she'd walk home or drive her car home if it was really late. If we were doing like girls' night and whatnot, staying up late, she would bring her car. But there was this Japanese woman that just was always outside, and it was not a human. But it presented as a Japanese woman, and every time she would walk by, it would growl at her. And I guess one night it followed her home and was growling at her. So she just looked back at it, growled at it, and she never did it again to her. Just one of the spicy friends that hang around here sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's where, that's why this country is so darn haunted, because men don't want to get a divorce. They don't want to pay alimony. So, yeah, they find a different way to get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
Throw her down the well. They drown her in the water. They throw her off the cliff, or they throw her off a bridge. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's why this country's so darn haunted. That's why if you're a man, you don't want to go to certain places because they'll take you, right?
Yeah.
And you will never come back.
I'm blanking on the name. What's the name of that forest too?
Aokihara.
That's another reason why.
I can't pronounce that name, so I just let her do it. And I'm like, yeah, Irene, haunted forest, go ahead.
Yeah, 4 years in that. It took me 2 years to be able to say gozaimasu. Okay, for some reason, I could not pick up the language. I worked with Japanese. I had friends. I hung out with them, and my brain just, I could pick up German like that, when I was younger. But I don't know if it's my age.
Yeah, there's definitely something about Japanese.
And
to learn. It is. It's really difficult. You have to read it in order to understand it. And when you read it, you can speak it. It's one of those
Yeah.
languages. Be able to read it, and then you'll be able to speak it.
And my brain could just not connect with katakana and hiragana. It was just like the symbols. Like I'm used to letters, and I mean I did the tutor thing and stuff like that. But I remember I used to walk around and be like, "Shig, say gozaimasu," or say the G part in Ohio gozaimasu, and he'd say it and like 3 or 4 times. And I'd go, "Masako-san, say it for me," and I can hear myself say it in my head.
Yeah.
But it took like a year or two before I could say it.
When it comes out of your mouth, it's a little bit different. They go, "Oops, that didn't work," right?
Yeah.
I'm taking Amanda probably in October to the suicide forest. Right, Amanda? You're coming, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize about the suicide forest, though, and we always say this is when you it's mostly people I talk about America, back home in America, when they think of the suicide forest, they think the whole entire thing is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just actually a small portion is where people
Yeah.
go to do what they need. I'm trying to keep it social media friendly, obviously, but go there and they do the unthinkable thing. Then you start going out where it's not as bad, but there still were the deaths. And then there's part after that where people say the energy is completely different, and no one has ever killed himself out there, and it's just peaceful, and people hike there in the good part every day because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. Like, I haven't been there, but I feel like there has to be in a more of the bad spot, there has to be some kind of portal attracting people to do it there.
Exactly. Because there are no insect activity, there's no bird activity, there's no snakes, there's no nothing. It's just dead quiet. And yeah. But there is also Suicide Waterfall I want to take her to.
Yeah, I would. I mean, as morbid as it sounds, that's one of those things now that, everything's come out, my abilities and everything's come out. I would love to go experience that and find out why, portal
I
or
feel like there has
whatever.
to be something there. I don't think Irene has, probably because of how much energy is in there. I don't think you've walked deep into the bad part.
Nope. My idea of going there is like bringing incense, bringing Japanese wine, bringing water, and lighting the incense, lighting the candle, and pray. And that's what I would do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, bringing sticky rice too. I have to bring that too.
Offering, yeah.
But is it for an offering or for you?
No, it's for an offering. It's an offering. Okay. But actually, you're supposed to eat it afterwards. You know that?
You know what? It is different with different cultures. I've learned, or I have been learning, because my friend is Krishna conscious, and so I've been working with, as the witch side of me, and the healing side of me has been working with the Hindu, and that is the one thing, because I have deities. I put out offerings. I dispose of them afterwards. No, when I put out like offerings for those, you're supposed to, same thing, especially with like your gurudevs, the gurus and stuff.
Yeah.
If him, even in his spirit, touches it or, does anything, then I'm supposed to eat it afterwards. I'm like, oh, oops, I disposed of it. I've learned for next time.
You see, my birthday is the Day of the Dead here. July 6th, this we practice Obon. And that's my birthday. And I'm making sticky rice for the dead, and I'm having my birthday at the same time. I said, Mom, what the hell happened, right?
Yeah, see, as a witch, I don't celebrate because I'm not Wiccan. Well, it doesn't have to be Wiccan to do it, but I don't celebrate the Wheel of the Year, except for Samhain, because it is for ancestors. And I, once again, as a witch, don't work with ancestors, which I get looked down upon. But it's for me, I do it. I celebrate all the dead.
Yeah.
So on Samhain.
And I saw, because my parents both have passed away, I have to provide food for them, water for them, wine for them, whatever, on my birthday.
It's like they did that on purpose.
You're like, this is my day.
Dang you. What was that all about, right? Yeah, I still don't get it.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Actually, I didn't realize Japan had a Day of the Dead thing.
They
So,
do. It's all born. It like where I live in Tokyo, it's July 16th. Where she lives, it's October the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th.
oh wow. So it's different by prefecture.
Yeah, in the city,
Cool.
yeah, it's totally different. If you live in the countryside, you're celebrating in October, but it's the most haunted months of the year. My
Yeah.
son hates it. My eldest son hates it. He hates Obon. He said, "Yeah." And here he is making salt pyramids he's going crazy. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I go, what the hell are you doing? He goes, yeah, Obon's coming up. I go, oh, okay. And he's going crazy. He goes, because I hate Obon. I go, yeah, I know. It's my birthday. You notice that, right? He goes, yeah, that's all the more to do it. I go, okay.
That sounds like a son.
Yeah. Yeah, because everything, like, even if I watch a haunted video, he comes up and says, are you watching a haunted video? I go, no. And I go, shit. I went like that. He goes, yeah. I said, why? He goes, this spirit comes up to me and looks at me. I go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. When I first became a medium, I loved watching ghost hunt.
Yeah.
I don't like 99.9% of it, but I liked taps. I like ghost hunters because they try to
Yeah.
debunk, and I am very much a scientific person, so I do that too. I've hit certain points where you just kind of know, okay, I just see it, but especially the beginning. But after like trying to watch those shows, once it all came out and my abilities kicked in, I didn't realize that you watch them and they like kind of show up. I'm like, oh
yeah, they do show up. Yep. They
yeah.
happen to
I
show
didn't
up in
realize
front
that.
of
I
my
don't watch
son.
those shows anymore.
They don't show up at me, but they show up at him. I go, what's it that you got that they want? And he goes, I don't know. I just don't want them in front of me. I go, okay. He goes, quit watching them. I go, okay, I'll change it. Like, just for him, I'll do it.
Yeah. There's a guys, I think it was the same group that I met you and Amanda. He would post up YouTubes that he'd do, and he would do spirit boxes, but with like serial killers and their victims and stuff. And it was when I was full blown into everything and I knew my abilities and whatever. And I'm like, oh, I've got that morbid sense, sense of curiosity with serial killers, whatever. So I went, oh, I'm gonna do it. It was Jeffrey Dahmer. I kid you not, 5 minutes into it, I had to turn it off, and I've never turned it back on. The amount of energy that came
I know
through.
you're talking. He made his own spirit box, right?
Yeah.
I forgot his name. It starts with an H. I know who you're talking about though, because I remember because I've tuned in several times. He's also done celebrities who recently passed, trying to contact them too.
Yeah.
With it, but yeah, he made his own. He made his own box.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
more effective. Whatever
I
he
was
did.
all for it and stuff, but I was still not at that point because it wasn't like, oh, hey, I'm a medium. I've got it figured out. I'm still figuring it out. But as far as boundaries and protection and still being like, I wasn't scared at that point, but I still did not have those boundaries. And I hadn't really started working, I'd worked with some seriously pissed off human spirits, but nothing to that in the amount of them all at once. And now it would be much different if I did it, I'm sure. I just usually don't sit long enough to watch a YouTube video very long. So
me neither. I don't. I always turn it off in the middle of it. Yeah. And anything that has to do with Japanese haunted places, I never share them. It's just sometimes they're not safe, okay? I'm going to put it in plain English. They're not safe. And sometimes they can do bad things to other people, or sometimes they're jealous spirits or whatever it is. I just don't share it in my group. And it's it's just, and they say, why don't you share them? I go, yeah, because I'm responsible for you. Yeah. That's why I can't share them, right? Yeah. They go, but they're really cool. I said, no, they're not.
People don't realize ghosts here are completely different than the rest of the world, though, too. I mean, every majority of scary movies based off of Japan was from a true story. Yeah. Or from an urban legend or a ghost story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen several of them come through with the appearance of the girl from The Ring.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I run into ones that take on that form.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, that really did happen too.
Himaji
I'm not
Castle
surprised.
still has the well. It's blocked off and there's a sign. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, I mean, the story's a little bit different where it was a
yeah,
samurai was in love with a dish maiden
yeah,
and it was in love with a dish maiden and he kept on flirting with her and trying to, ask her to be his lover, but she'd always declined.
mhm,
And he came to the point where he was getting very impatient to the point where he hid a so the lord of the castle had 10 very expensive decorative plates. He hid one,
mhm,
so he hid a plate and kind of let the lord find out, hey, there's a missing plate. Wonder what happened. So of course the dish maiden was blamed because to that would make the most obvious sense. So she knows she didn't do anything, so she'd always count every night, count 1 to 9 every time, trying to find a 10th one. It never happened. And
yeah,
then finally, the samurai approached her and said, "Oh, I will tell the Lord and convince him you didn't take the plate if you finally become my lover." And she still declined. So
yeah,
he snapped and he beat her. He tied her up. He kept dunking her in the well. He'd come back up and, he'd be like, "You gave me my lover now?" And she still declined. Dump her back in, bring her back up, do the whole process till finally she drowned in there, kind of left her body. And they said every night she'd come up and she'd count to 9. If you heard, and then she let a blood shattering scream. They said that if you heard any of that counting, you became extremely sick. If you heard the scream,
mhm,
you would die soon. So
Oh
they
yeah,
wow.
kind of based the ring off of something more, obviously more modern than that.
Yeah.
You saw, you just saw it in video. They're just trying to make it more, yeah, they're just trying to make it more obviously modern. But that's where that came from, and people do take pictures of that because that well is still there. If you go to anywhere, you go to Hamaji Castle.
mm. And the thing is that a lot of times that a lot of them are they'll come after either the man or they'll come after both of you standing together. So you either have to walk separately to see something. You can't walk together, right? Because they'll get jealous
Hmm.
and they'll get angry, and something could happen to either one, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to walk separately.
Huh.
There's a lot of places that are like that, and there's a lot of spirits, women scorned women spirits who will come after men, and yeah, there's a lot of weird old urban legends that we call them, right? And that does happen, and a lot of men has disappeared too in the forest also because of that too. And so there's a lot of crazy things. That's why I will not do anything paranormal in Japan. I will not go to no haunted houses in Japan. No, I will help a person in the United States, yes, but I will not do it in this country. It's just that you got to pick and choose wisely, like what you want to help and what you do.
Yeah.
But in this, it's just a total different ball game.
Wow. I had no idea. Good thing my abilities didn't kick in while I was there because my dumb butt probably would have done stuff that would probably
Yeah,
not have netted me a good
There,
result.
it's
there's a
just
horror movie. I can't remember the name of this horror movie. It was a pretty big one though, where people visited a town and they
ino na
would they were hike
Gwen,
they were
ino na
hiking in the
Kimura.
woods. They were hiking in the woods and they'd find they'd be kidnapped and brought to a town in the woods, and in the town there's absolutely no rules or no laws.
Inonaki.
That was an actual town two
Yeah,
hours from where I am,
yeah,
where there was even a sign posted outside this little town in the woods that said, "Beyond this point, Japan law does not exist."
yeah. My husband knows because he's from that area. As a child, he knew all kinds of stories about it, right? And he said, "You want to go there?" He goes, "I'll take you there."
You're like,
You want to
It's
go?
abandoned now because we tell people like, well, obviously we want to go now if it wasn't abandoned.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no laws, so anything went. So all that.
But you have to
Yeah,
go
it's
to,
the Inunaki village.
yeah, Inunaki Mura. And they have an Inunaki tunnel too that
Yeah,
is haunted. That's attached to that village. They blocked off the other side of it, but the tunnel you can still walk in it. And there's a lot of freaky things that goes in the tunnel too. You can hear footsteps, you can hear screaming, you can hear crying, you can hear everything in that tunnel.
Wow. Part of me is like, I really want to get back to Japan. Another part of me is like, I don't know if I want to go to Japan now.
Oh, come on. We'll
I'm
go
kidding.
together. I'll
Oh
take
yeah,
you.
no. Like I said, I still have dreams that and the funny thing is in my dreams, I'm back on base and I'm like seeing my old coworkers and things like that and my friends but the ex is not there, so I'm not quite sure how I did it because he was military. That's how I got there the first time. So I don't know. Maybe it's a premonition for
I mean,
future, but
if like for us, we are grounded, right? And we know what we know what we're doing. And for us, it's a little bit different, right? Because
yeah,
we are a little bit more sensitive than other people, than just a regular investigator, right? So
yeah,
we'd know what to do, and we'd have each other's backs if we go to a
yeah.
place, right?
Well,
So
and with you and I, especially, teetering and dealing with some of the darker stuff too, especially me.
yeah,
You know, it would be interesting to see the difference, if that makes sense.
the only thing that we would need is we'd have to go to the police department. We have to get permission to go in that area.
Yeah.
And yeah, my husband
Bucket
would
list trip.
my husband would be there. Because
well,
my husband
yeah,
lives
because
in,
everything. If it's considered haunted Japan, they close it off to the public, so they make
Yeah.
it so you're not allowed to be there.
Yeah. That makes
but
sense.
there are a lot of Japanese paranormal investigators who have walked around in there too.
Yeah.
So, it's just the people who don't know what the heck they're doing. They go in and they don't come out, right?
Yeah. Well, and play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's
Yep.
like, and that's, some of the reason why I don't work with, like, I work with my girls' paranormal group a little bit. We're spread out across the state. So if it's in
Mm-hmm.
my area, like, I'll do it or, consult and stuff like that. But as far as going on investigations, I typically don't. Can't miss the one coming up. It's kind of a bucket list thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Trans Allegheny, man, it's a bucket list. I mean, we've had the group's name down since I don't know, like 6 to 8 months now.
Wow.
You have
But
to book that in advance.
oh yeah, and it's not necessarily easy to, I guess, get into, and costs a little bit too. So thankfully we
Yeah.
had plenty of time to save, but
What are your views about charging people to go into certain places?
okay. This is how I feel. Mom and pop places that go and they do that and make money on their property and stuff like that. If it to me is exploiting. When it's harder for me to say it. Yes, I think like Trans Allegheny, Eastern State, all these things they're still exploiting, but at the same time they have to do something to upkeep that facility enough for anyone to want to experience it.
I get that.
I've done walkthroughs with my girl on places that, around here, you'll probably remember these, Amanda, the haunted, attractions. Everyone opens their farmland up and has all the
Yeah,
little haunted housey things. And one of them we went to definitely has a lot of spirits there. Now, the spirits didn't mind being there. Some of them enjoyed it because sometimes when people die, they were jerks in life and they're still jerks because they haven't crossed and they enjoy playing that role, you
Yeah.
know? But the people who like there's one place that we go to and there's some not good stuff in there and there's children spirits in there and like it needs to be handled and it needs to be taken care of. And the people who own it, at least one of the people that are a part of it, I know they did things to enhance the situation. Basically, there's portals, things come in, nothing can get out.
Yeah.
And places like that make me absolutely disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from the fact that I respect and love someone that's involved a little bit, I have agreed not to go at this point in time in because I can remote view and I can connect remotely. And I've agreed not to do anything, but just give me the word or just you get me in a bad mood one day and I will go in there and I will unhaunt the damn thing. Like that bugs me.
Exactly.
Especially when they do things to promote it. And I mean, that's why like I'll go when I go to Trans Allegheny, I may have pictures, I may have photos. I will never put them out, post them publicly. I will never do that. Like, I know that, her and a couple of people from the group are going to come down to my one facility that is like that, and they have to treat it as a residential. They cannot post any videos or pictures anywhere online.
Yeah.
You know, they've been to my house, which was funny because they're like, "Oh, shadow." Oh, I'm like, "Yeah, that's surprised no one's pointed one out in the video behind me."
Well, usually we do, but we also know, like with you and your guests, there's no need to. You already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you watch previous shows, yeah, we'll tell guests that there's male spirit, female spirit, whatever behind them. And with you, we're like,
No, if you guys
know.
If you guys pick up things in my house, by all means, because I have this like border around me because it's so active at times. Like my girl was standing in the back room, this back when the ex was still here. And that was like with birds and a cat. The cat had his own room during the day when the birds were out. And we were back there with the cat. She's like, there's like 8 people in this room with us. I'm like, I don't notice it unless they make a point of going like smack. Hey, here I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm going, and every time I talk, it looks at me.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why I let them come down and spend the night one night. Now, granted, I'm in an apartment, so, people walking above, it sounds like they're coming through the ceiling, or there's, elephants are bowling upstairs, if the grandkids are there. But, so getting audio is difficult in here. But yeah, that's why I let them spend the night because, like I said, I have this border up, where they can't, it takes a lot for them to have to get my attention because they go in and out. I live next to the funeral home.
I also feel that it's the soil, it's the land that's very old. The land has
Someone says, I feel 3 energy around Kristol as we speak.
The land had something on it. Okay, I got it. The dead bodies were brought to this building where the land is now, where before this apartment was built.
Yeah.
And it was the place where they stored dead bodies. And after being processed, they would go in the caskets. They'll be going to the cemetery. But before that, it was a place where they housed dead bodies.
Cool. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah, I'm probably 3 miles away from a really old one. What is it? A cemetery or graveyard one is attached to a church. I always confuse the two. Anyways, a really old one and then a really huge one that's like 3 miles other way, a massive ER 4 miles away, and a funeral home a half a block away on top of it. So
the energy all comes together and they all create something together, right?
Mm-hmm.
so it becomes one big juju. Right. I mean, what else am I supposed to call it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. And it's just like they all congregate all
Yeah.
together, and they have their own whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't feel they're really bad. I don't feel anything really negative.
Mm-mm.
It's just souls. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But some don't have a place to go to. Some who died long time ago really never had that door open up, so they go
Yeah.
to heaven. It's just like they're in between here and here, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, in my house is, because like I said, before the show, I don't, if I got to a point where I felt I had to, I could force one, but I tend not to. And so if they're not, a lot of these souls they're scared, they don't know, they're not ready, they're afraid to go through the light, whatever,
Yeah.
they're in that thing, they're not.
Or
And so
something,
this is their safe haven.
or something that's not allowing them to go into the light, or something that they're just not ready yet. So you feel that too. And
Mhm.
you know what? It's not bad.
Mm-mm.
It's not dangerous. It's just like I hear one of them say, "Where am I? What happened to me? Why am I dead? What happened?" Like they're just like they're in a state of confusion. That's all I'm
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. Well, and that's because that's what I work with, is
Yeah.
primarily that. So they will flock here, and then they will make themselves known, and I will give them my spiel. And then I have my companion spirit and a couple others that I don't do in the crossing. Like, I don't sit there and like my mentor will walk them up to the light, whatever. I don't do that. I do my spiel. I try to get them comfortable and try to explain things to them and make them not scared and make them know that it's going to be safe and that they're going to be fine. And then, like I said, I have spirits around me that I've helped cross or have crossed from me, that'll come back and help, or my companion spirit and my dad actually will sometimes come in and help, take them on. I don't do that path of it.
Oh, your
So.
dad is saying, "Hiya, what's up? What's up?" He's saying, "What's up?"
Hey, Dad.
And he's saying to me, "What can I do to get a cup of coffee around here?"
I mean, I got a big one right here. That sounds, I don't know him in person, but that sounds like him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes I can really tune into it. And sometimes he said, he said, what does it take to get a cup of coffee around here? He's saying, "Gee whiz, I want a cup of coffee." I'm so desperate to have a cup of coffee, and I haven't had one in years. That's what he said.
Yeah, 14. Well, I don't know if last time he had one when he was live, but he died. Well, crap, we just had his birthday too.
Yeah.
But he passed away 14 years ago, 2010. So.
Did he like pie?
I never met him. It was a weird Facebook message that I got from a stranger one day when I was 40 saying, "Hey, I'm your brother or your stepbrother. My stepdad is your dad." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He's like, "You should probably call your mom." That's kind of how I found out. So, but he had passed away 7 years prior.
He likes apple pie.
Is it apple pie?
Yeah.
I'll make him some.
He said, "I want a slice of apple pie and a cup of coffee."
I will put a note down for that one. I will make that for him on his birthday.
Yeah.
As an offer.
Okay, she'll make you an apple pie and a cup of coffee. Okay.
I got you, Dad.
No, he's right here. No, he's right here.
Nice.
That's where they do come in my place. Yeah. And sometimes when I'm not feeling good, I have to close it. I usually
Yeah.
that's enough. You know, if it gets too much for you, I have to
Yeah.
close. We're done. You know. But yeah, he's saying that. Is your mom still alive?
Yes. The comment, they know Kristol can see them and talk as if they're alive. That talk as if they're alive is exactly it. I don't treat them like they're dead. I talk to them like my companion spirit, whatever. Doesn't matter who it is. I literally talk to them the same way as if they were standing here in a physical form still.
Yeah.
I
And
can
you know what?
testify to that because I
They
was
want
casually.
to be spoken to with respect as if they're alive. And that's how you speak to them.
Exactly.
You don't change your tone. You don't give them, oh, a baby voice. No, you don't do that. You talk to them as if you respect them as who they are and what they are. I see your
Yeah.
grandma. She's here too.
Yeah. Well, which one? No, wait. Well, yeah, if it's on my dad's side, I wouldn't know who she is, but the one on my dad that raised me, I know that grandma.
One of them's here.
It's probably the one that pops in. My dad is the one who raised me. My father, for the clarification, my father is the one who has passed. So my biological, we'll say it that way. And yes, heart issues. Apologize for the confusion surrounding everything that makes sense. Lost time, he says lost time. It was esophageal cancer. I don't know about his heart, but the rest of that makes 1,000% sense.
Mm-hmm. She's saying to me, she respects what you're doing, right? Yeah. She understands what you're doing. She said there's not enough people like you who are helping other people, or helping the dead. Um, um, uh, I'm telling you, there is what's light. You can't be just light. You have to have light and dark together. So light and dark goes together as one. So you can't just do the light without the dark side. They're like this.
Yeah. Well, hence the gray.
Yeah. And so you just can't. She doesn't understand why you have to be part of the dark side. To her, it's just bad. Okay, I know you're seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, yeah, but
And that's okay to the comment about the
but yeah,
leaving comments. That's fine.
But yeah, I mean, I'm telling her that in order to understand both, you have to have both. It's like a balance between the life and death, and good and bad. So nothing is always good. Like some people have good and bad together, right? So that's why you have both of them.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to explain to her.
No, you're fine. Well, it's just because something is quote unquote light doesn't mean it's good, and just because it's quote unquote dark doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
We were discussing this before we went live. Kristol, you work with I'm trying to figure out how you want to say it. The
demons.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how you want to say it. I'm trying to be respectful of demons.
No, we call it dark
we're
side,
saying
okay?
that not all demons are bad.
I call
as
them
you
spicy.
said, yeah, as you said, some of them do live up to their reputation, some don't. And it's funny because we were saying with Supernatural, somehow this show Supernatural is so spot on, where angels are actually more jerks than most demons.
Yeah,
and it's so funny how that's true.
Because
my guardian angel, he just got his candle back after 3 years. The last one I threw against the wall and shattered it because every time he consciously works with me, he just screws up my life. But Archangel Michael, I do work with him, and I've worked
with him. Yeah,
he's amazing. The one thing to clarify just for all of this is Sorry, Grandma, I interrupted that whole thing.
Okay. She's listening to you. She's trying to learn what you do. So you
Okay.
have to explain it.
People look at someone banging on their wall or scratching or the footprints or a dark shadow as negative or trying to scare them or whatever. I see it as a human that's just trying to ask for help because it doesn't. I just died. I have no meat suit. How do I get someone's attention? I need help. What do I do? They knock. They do those things. So I look at every human entity as an individual, not based on what they're doing, just like I look at everyone that's alive the same way. I don't lump people into stereotypes. I look at them as, you're an awesome person, cool. I'll treat you as an awesome person. You're a jerk, I'm going to treat you as a jerk, you know?
Yeah.
And that goes for all the non-human. It doesn't matter if it's angel, demon, fae, elementals, tricksters, whatever you want to pull out. I look at every single one as an individual, which is why I don't follow like demonology and stuff, because it is looking at demons in this personification that they're malicious, they're going to steal your soul, they're going to do all these things. Do some of them live up to their reputation? Yeah, some of them do. You also have the different levels. So you have like the Goetia, the 72 lesser spirits of Solomon. Mm-hmm. They're not coming down haunting your house and like trying to steal your soul. They're probably the ones that are causing wars. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're up there. But some of them predate anything where they're written as demons.
Yeah.
And so I look at each one individually. Some have been the most helpful. I always do this analogy. My companion spirit, he was just a wanderer that came through, and I just kind of kept him. We got him crossed, and he just stays. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to figure out who he was, because in the beginning that was so important to me. Now it's just like people are like, "Oh, did you get their name?" I'm like, I didn't even ask. It doesn't matter. But I had to know. I needed to know because I get hyper focused. My neurodivergent brain has to know these things. And
his name is Michael. His name is Michael.
Oh, well, I've always called him Daniel, but there's a story behind that. There's also, because I didn't know his name, so I gave him a name.
Yeah.
So he's just been Daniel, and I've never cared anymore. But it took me 2 years to figure out kind of who he was. And that was because, this lovely gentleman was helping me. When I go talk to the Spiceys, I'm like, hey, got a problem. They're like, oh, here's your answer.
The thing is that we give them labels. We give them, this is that, that's that's what we call them. And I don't really agree with that, right? Yeah. It's our stupid way of calling something that we don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the name labels. That's why I don't like my name as being called a clairvoyant, because I am me. This is who I am.
Yeah.
I don't like calling myself that, because I'm just a person who sees things a little bit different than everybody else, right? I just don't like labels.
No.
And I don't like labeling spirits either.
Well, it's like the witch side of me. Like, I think I'm more of a medium that does witchy things than I am, at least if you compare yourself to like, social media, because then, God, I know nothing like any of them. Yeah. I could really go TikTok famous if I just spouted out just like 2 sentences of my beliefs when it comes to the witch talk community, and I would go viral, but just not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But society, they want to know what you are.
Yeah.
So I used to go, I'm a medium that does witchy things. Now I'm just like, fine, I'm a chaos witch that works in the gray, or a gray witch that works with chaotic energy. Take your pick. That's why I don't really care which way we say it, because.
What do you think about, I'm going to ask you this really weird question, okay? Like, since you do work with tarot cards, what do you think about people who are charging for a tarot card reading?
I'm for it. There are certain things when it comes to mediumship or healing side or witchcraft side that I believe is okay to charge for and things that are not. And I think it's personal for all of us. There is an energy exchange. It isn't just reading the
Yeah.
things. You're also paying for a skill that you don't have.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, these people that do $275 readings, okay, that's great. If people will pay it, by all means. I'm like 40 when I do it. But like healing, if someone needs help with their like shadow work and stuff, I will never, or a demon, someone legit, I've only met one, legitimately has a demon attachment. I'll never charge to help them with that. But if I'm going to drive and cleanse your house, I'm charging you. You know what I mean?
At least,
So
yeah.
Exactly.
It's just different things. But
I've
it needs to be a real
charged anybody for my services. I've never charged it. I've always said it's always free. And I usually get people say, how much do you charge? I go, why? I go, yeah, it's free. They go, you're sure? I go, yeah. And they said, well, people charge. I go, well, I don't,
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. It's just like everyone's different. Some people I know don't charge at all, and some people, like I said, will overcharge. But there is an exchange of energy, and to me, it depends on what the topic is. You want me to go pull out cards, take an hour of my time, sit here and do this? I'm a general manager of 3 facilities.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build my own. Yeah, I'm trying to build my own business on top of it. And God forbid, single after 20 years. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
But it's also like you said, if you have to drive out there, that's gas and the price of gas.
That's
yeah.
That
Well, and I'm not going by myself. Do you think any of my, like I'm going to grab one of my boy coworkers because I work with all guys. I'm grabbing one of my guys. I'm going to give them a couple bucks an hour to go, do this because they're putting up with me. Because I'm not going to go to some random person's house, and just go, yeah, let me come on in. Single female here. That's probably not the smartest thing at times.
No.
But yeah, like I said, if it's, if someone's, go ahead. I would say if someone has like a kid and there's harm, like I'm not going to charge for that. And I would always do like free consultations on literally, doesn't matter if it's a tarot reading or anything else. I'm doing a free consultation that, on everything, because I don't want to charge someone for something that, it's, I don't want to say immoral too, but it's like, you really don't need my help. Just go sage your house. You're fine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to charge you $50 to come over there and do it when literally
here's some sweet grass. Here's a bundle. Go have at it.
Yeah. Say the Lord's Prayer. You're going to be fine.
But actually, you know what? I agree with that one, because they're asking us to go there and do it for them when they should be doing it themselves, because it's your damn house, not mine, I mean, you want them out, you kick them out yourself, right?
Yeah. I would rather do a free consultation and teach someone how to handle it themselves.
Yeah.
So they don't need me.
Yeah.
Then do it. But like my mentoring, like I'm putting together, like when I go and put together my mentoring program and stuff like that, that I'm charging for. Yeah. Because that's putting all the stuff together, the supplies, I'm doing all that kind of stuff. And that takes a lot of time, especially.
And money, too, when you buy the supplies, that's coming out of your pocket also. Yeah.
Exactly. When and if they need help, I'm helping, paid or not. Yeah. There are times where it's like, definitely. Yeah. So.
Exactly.
But what do you think about the people who come to you for help, though, but it's something that they open the door themselves?
Yeah.
Like they did something they weren't supposed to, thinking they could handle it. All of a sudden, they realize they can't handle it.
I will see. I'm not big into astrology, but I have a lot of placements in Scorpio, and Scorpio is a very blunt, I really don't care if I hurt your feelings kind of person, and it's my rising. It's what comes out of me. So usually it doesn't go well for that. But no, seriously, I will always try to take it as, you need help. You're coming, you're asking for help. Here are some tools. Here are some things. Shame on you for doing that. Don't do it again. Do these things. And then if they come back to me and be like, it still didn't work. Well, did you do X, Y, and Z? Did you protect yourself, cleanse your home, protect your home, ward your home, whatever it is?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I did this, but then I played with the Ouija board again. Let's say it was something like that. Cool. You're an idiot. don't come back to me. And if you want my help, then I'm going to be charging you like $70 an hour because you're paying me to deal with your stupidity. I'm sorry.
And
you know,
I find that there's one house that I had to help my friend. Okay, they did play with the Ouija board, but they didn't tell me what they did. Right?
yeah.
They unleashed a dark entity. I couldn't get rid of it. Okay,
Was it
nobody could get rid of it. Right? Their house burnt down. I don't know.
was it Zozo?
I don't know what the thing
I
about.
always have to laugh at the Zozo thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know what. I don't know the details of it. Right? I don't know if they set their house on fire because they said the cat knocked over an oil lamp and their house caught on fire. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I mean, yeah, you have to be truthful what you did to the investigator, because if you want my help and you don't tell me what you did, how in the heck am I supposed to do my work, right? Or anybody.
And chances are we're going to catch you in the lie. So
yeah. And you can't hide from a clairvoyant because they'll know they could see you doing something, right? So yeah, don't lie. If you need help, come out with it. Tell us the truth. It's not like we're gonna do this to you, but just be truthful if you really have problems.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all.
Well, it's funny because I went and I thought, okay, it'll be funny. I mean, I don't believe there's anything inherently wrong. Like any divination tool, including the Ouija board, if you know what you're doing, you're protected, you're fine. It's no different than being a medium and talking to spirits because you never know. Is it tricking you? Is it really what it is, right?
Yeah.
You take the same risks. So, and that goes with, I make pendulums and scry mirrors and stuff like that. My house is full of black mirrors. I think I have 20 in my personal collection alone. Like I have a wall of them. It freaks people out. I've got a 2 foot by 3 foot one in my closet. But
yeah, someone show who doesn't like pendulum, so I'm like, I do the pendulum things all the time. People are like, no, I won't do it because I feel like you're doing something, you're entering something you're not supposed to. I'm like, I've always done it. I know how to do it though.
Yeah. And but you know what you're doing, and that's the thing. And people who don't, and they're scared, and like, I get that. That's fine. Well, my best friend and I decided to pick up a Ouija board, a spirit board. And so we're sitting there, we're both mediums. So we put our hands on planchette, and we literally both hear the same thing. You're a medium. You don't need this, you dumb bee. Yeah. I have never been able to get that. Now it's just a decorative piece, and if people come over, they can try because it doesn't seem to really work for anyone. I'll be honest. But yeah, we just laugh. We just looked at each other, and just started laughing. Going, yeah, I know. We wanted. I call it party tricks. Like honestly, I don't making spirits do party tricks. Like to me, it's not right. So usually it'll, maybe I thought maybe when my guides or something would, dad, would come through and just kind of humor me, my companion spirit. But no, literally we were just told we were being dumb because like we know. Okay, North Carolina.
Is that your cat, Irene?
Yeah, he's and the beeping noise is the bathtub. The water's heated up already. I've got an automatic water heater in my bathtub.
Yeah, because I thought I heard a child's voice say "Dada," but if it's your cat, because sometimes your cat sounds human to me.
I know.
Yeah. Well, plenty of mediums have felt. Plenty of mediums have felt a couple kids in my apartment, but they stay away from me, and I don't interact with them, so I don't know if they're still here or not. So you never know.
I had a couple of miscarriages, and their spirit is in him.
Aww.
That's why he lives such a long time. That's awesome. He protects me, and he takes care of me, and he cries. And if something that he doesn't like, he'll come up and tell me. Yeah, I know that. Just lay down, okay? Lay down, be a good kitty cat. Don't be a pain in the butt, okay?
Yeah. when the ex was still here and we had the cat at night, the birds are locked up, so the cat was out. And he'd just be sitting on the bed, like sitting on my ex's chest, and and my ex was just like, doesn't believe in any of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm sure it's just the bug. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, some bug, right?
Yeah. I'm not seeing it. Are you? You see it? Well, cats see. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Cats do see.
They do. Dogs and cats do see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, like I said,
my dog here in Japan in this apartment, because I've had so many more just visiting shadow people just passing through my apartment, and my dog will hear it first, start barking, and run out. Like, what is she barking at? I'll walk out, and there's a shadow person staring at me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of passes. It's like, yep, I'm just visiting, passing through.
Yeah, I grew up with 13 cats, so there is no. He loved the cat. He took the cat with him. He loves the cat. So, but it was a feral that I brought in, and like nursed back to health and all that, and he only would come to me, and then one day he connected with the ex, and then it was like, at night it's like he'd lift the covers and be Bobby, because the cat's name was Bobby. And Bobby would like jump up and they would snuggle and they would fall asleep that way. He would literally fall asleep spooning that cat every nap, every night. And I'm like, I'm keeping the birds. You take the cat.
Curious, just a question. Are there spirit boards in Japan? No, that's the one thing with Japan is anything they do with the paranormal, you can't.
Actually, there are spirit boards in Japan.
Are they? I haven't seen any because they just don't mess with them.
They are available. You can buy it, but yeah, there are people who use it. They just don't talk about it.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah,
but it's more rare to find them though, isn't it? Because I haven't. I can't get them here.
It's all the Japanese characters. It's all like in hiragana.
And that would be cool.
It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, that would be cool though.
My son knows that they exist. He said, I ain't gonna touch it. I go, okay, well, that's fine. He goes, yeah. They're all in Japanese characters. They're not in plain old English like ABC. Yeah. They don't have that. Right.
Yeah. No, that would be interesting to see, just
Yeah.
Just because
I love. Because I mean, you're in Tokyo, so you might have it more up there than down here. You wouldn't be able. I guess. I guess the right answer to the question is depends on where you live. Yeah. Tokyo, she can probably you probably have to hunt it down, but you could find it. Here where I live, it's smaller, more rural, more cities. I mean, sorry, more country. So I could not find it if I, for the life of me, down here. No.
Yeah, they do exist. True.
I couldn't find it. She's in Tokyo, so Tokyo's a different story then.
They do exist. They're not very rare. They are popular, okay. But yeah, I mean, you have to ask the right person.
Yeah.
To buy one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to probably just walk into any store and find them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's probably not openly sold.
Yeah. It's like you got to know the guy, you got to know the guy, and the guy knows the guy. You got to know someone who knows someone. Yeah. And you have to vouch for you, but nah, she's cool. Go ahead and sell it to her.
You're going down a little alley, which of course there are alleys everywhere there, obviously, and there's everything's down the alleys, but you're like that real sketchy when you're knocking and need the code word to get in.
You're doing that. You should buy a Ouija board.
What's a password?
I would.
What's a password, right?
Yeah, little window opens. Hey, what's the password? You get it wrong, slam. Okay, I guess that was wrong.
I could probably Google it and find one if I have to. Actually, after the show, I'll Google it for you.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to look that up because that sounds cool.
I would probably because my Google is totally different than Amanda's Google, right?
Yeah.
My Google is mostly Japanese content. And the thing is that they don't share, right? I mean, if she wants to know something, she'd have to ask me to find it because they don't like sharing. I
Yeah.
So
don't know why.
it's funny because sometimes if I compare the definition from something from my Google compared to hers, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. My what was it? One of my Japanese friends, I absolutely adored him. We worked together and stuff. And he's the one I was mentioning earlier, just very conservative Japanese man. You are too open, crazy American woman. And he went and he wrote, and I know some of the things he writes because it's usually the same things all the time. Like I recognize the Japanese writing, but this one time I didn't, and I went and I translated. It was my birthday, and he meant to say happy birthday. Google Translate said, no, we're not getting married. That saying that's what the translation was. And I'm like, what did you say? He goes, I'm like, this is what Google, and I showed him the picture and a message like, this is what Google says. And he's like, it was just happy birthday. I'm like, I have no idea what extra character you put in there to change it to something else.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't planning on marrying you, but I mean, I'm single now. Maybe
he's
it'd be
like sitting
different.
there feeling insulted. Like, what? You just come up to me and say, "I know we're not getting married." What?
I know. It was like the most random thing.
Like Google is really sometimes like I'm reading what Google Translate. I said, no, that's not what it means.
Oh yeah, we always have a laugh over here about
And I always
some of the
hey
things Google
Amanda,
translates to.
that's not what it says. He goes, oh yeah, what does it say? I go, it says this. She goes, why did it just say that? Yeah. I'm sitting here laughing my guts out because
when
so
I
funny.
got to Japan and got the job on base and everything and was working with my Japanese coworkers, my mom and I years prior had gotten tattooed together, and we had mother-daughter kanji written. It was, I didn't want to wait till she died. It was like back when Miami Ink and all those shows were coming out and everyone's doing all their memorial tattoos. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to get, something while you're still alive. She's like, let's do something together. So we did like the year of, I grew up with Chinese New Year's and everything. So we did the year of the dragon for me on her and the year of the tiger for me. And we got mother-daughter. First thing I do when I walk into my new job and, kind of meet everyone, I go to Masako-san, what do these say? She's like, mother-daughter. I'm like, yes. Because you hear all the stories.
I was actually about to say that.
And a lot of people get these really weird tattoos and they said, and they're saying, that doesn't make sense, right? And I go, yeah.
Like, it says refrigerator.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people who say that, where they'll show people in Japan will see, the foreigners go over with the Japanese tattoos. They start saying what it actually means, and it's just like, what?
Yeah. Like, huh? I'm reading it myself. Like, I can read it, right? And I think, okay, that don't make sense.
Yeah. Now, Irene, you might be able to explain this better than me, but my friends, they're very like artistic and do stuff, and they will take kanji and alter it like for their name and stuff. You know what I mean? So that it turns into their own symbols. That makes sense. You understand what I'm talking about? So because I wanted a Japanese tattoo that had, like the lives, and it's from the Book of the Five Rings. The decisions I've made in my life, I have no regrets. And I had them do that where they altered the kanji on it. So when I'd be on base, it's up my arm. And when I'd be on base, some people are like, okay, I can kind of figure it out. But yeah, if an American who happens to know it that doesn't know that looks at it, they're just like, what gibberish did you just put on your arm?
Like, sometimes I'm doing this. I'm scratching my head. I'm thinking, yeah, that don't make sense. Like,
yeah. So this wouldn't make sense because, like I said, one of the kids on base that worked there, he was like, I can kind of figure out like this is supposed to be this. It's like, but I can't. So he asked me to explain to him. I'm like, I had him intentionally alter the kanji in whatever way his brain works, just enough to anyone who kind of understands could probably make it out, but not everyone, because I never want anyone to have the same thing as me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's so funny because some people say, I got this tattoo, and they get it done in the States, and they say, yeah, what does this say? I go, wind, strong, white. And they go, is that what it means? I go, yeah. And it in order for it to make sense, you have to have it a beginning, the middle, and the end, right?
Yeah.
And it's like all over the place. They go, yeah, that's all it means. They go, well, it's supposed to be this. I said, yeah, well, don't read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I get a lot of money for that. I go, yeah, you got screwed.
Yeah, no, I will never get anything like if I go to a tattoo shop or whatever here, and like if I'm even going to be interested in getting stuff done and they do say they do traditional Japanese, I'll be like, let me see your pictures. That's not what a traditional sakura should look like. I'm out.
And the writing, you see, you start from the top,
Yep.
left-hand side, and you end up with the bottom, right? And so the way that the lines are put in, it's like, yeah, that's great. That don't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And the strokes are totally wrong. So I'm going, yeah, I mean, I can't read that. I'm sorry, they, well, it's supposed to mean something. I go, yeah, don't mean shit. And I'm really trying to help this person, right? And this person is like this at me, and I said, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, they did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, after seeing, I will never get Japanese. I mean, I have 11 tattoos, and I've got a lot more planned. Money's a factor. They're expensive these days, but I have no intention unless I go back to my tattooist, my actual tattooist in Japan. I am not getting anything Japanese or any kanji of any type on me in the States.
They just take one symbol out here. They take one symbol out here and they put it together. They said, okay, that means something. No, it doesn't mean something. You don't have this together. Like, that's the reason why they're together, right? Because it means something, right? But if you take this out and you take this out and you put this together, there you go. And they go, there, see, it's Japanese kanji. No, it ain't.
Are national TV networks in Japan more open to showing paranormal shows?
They do. But you see, young people don't like paranormal. You have to get the people who are older, like the people who are late 50s and early 60s. They're into that. But the young people, they're not. They're more analytical. They want proof that it exists, and sometimes you can't prove that. We can't prove it, right? So stuff happens.
That seems backwards from here. It seems like the young, and I think part of it is because of social media. It's the trendy thing to go and do paranormal It's the trendy thing to be a witch. It's the trendy thing, But you get the people in my age range and stuff, and we're sitting there going, a car just drove by, the light went through, and that's what was on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, we're debunking everything, and these kids are like, oh my God.
Everything's paranormal.
Yes. No, it's not. You have a raccoon in your attic, it's
or you need your meds.
Yeah, these day and ages, that's true too. But I'm one to talk. I mean, I've got anxiety and stuff myself. But yeah, then again, I think a lot of people who are like considered insane or in mental institutions probably are mediums.
We've said that about in the earlier days. That's probably why a lot of them were in the insane asylums, just because that's how they're viewed. So unfortunately, people in the insane asylum, we often wondered if they're medium or clairvoyance, and it's just unfortunately thrown in there.
Yeah,
you think you can't control it, right? And it bothers the hell out of you. You can't sleep. Like sometimes I can't sleep either. I'm going to talk, right? I don't sleep. I got a ton of sleeping pills from the doctor, right? It don't work with a hoop for me because, I'm still seeing it. I'm still hearing it. Yeah. My life.
Well, it's like and going through the spiritual awakening and getting like your abilities kicking in and not I mean, even nowadays, I mean, I didn't have anyone around. I mean, I'm not a social person except for on social media. Like my work day with my employees between the locations, Monday through, well, technically Saturday, because usually Sunday I refuse to answer anything.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's my social battery. I'm done.
Yeah.
So when I went through it, I mean, I had my friend who was living with me at the time unexpectedly and became my friend and helped me through it. But we had opposite work schedules. And so I remember just driving around going, I need a mentor. I need something. And then just, what's the first thing you do? You go into social media and join all the groups trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, literally, I thought I was going insane. I knew I wasn't, but I just couldn't figure it out because for some of us, when we hear in our head,
Yeah.
we're hearing our own voice. So, and I'm one of those people that when I lay down, like if I decide to lay down for 15 minutes and I can daydream, I can be so far into that daydream that when I open my eyes 15, 20 minutes later, I'm trying to where am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So seeing things like when it's out of the blue, but that
Yeah.
was hard in the beginning. So yeah, a lot of I mean, even today, a lot of us still question should I be in a straitjacket right now?
Yeah.
Because
If I said anything about what I do, I'd be in the loony bin, right? The thing is that it's so bad for me. I don't even like going outside anymore
wow.
because I see stuff left, right, and center, right? And if there's an ambulance go by, I know what's in it. I know if the person's gonna live. I know the person's gonna die.
Yeah.
I know if it's a heart attack. I know if it's an accident. I know if it's really bad. If it's close to death, I know it. And I don't like going outside, and I'd rather not go outside. That's
Wow.
why I said I give the money to my kids. I said, here, you go to the store for me, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
The-
Wow. Yeah, when I'm driving down the freeway and I see like an accident happen and I see even if the ambulance and the people are gone, I see the car, I'm like, I can tell usually, like
yeah,
not even how bad based on how bad it is, but it's like I know, because sometimes they're still standing there. So
yeah, and I just don't like going outside. I just, it's just something that I dread going outside, and I have to keep pulling my nerves together to go outside, even to go
yeah.
to the convenience store.
Wow.
It's just something that I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I'm a hermit.
Uh, I'm that way, but that's just because I'm happier alone and not dealing with people. It's too people-y out there.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why I was at Walmart like at 9 a.m. this morning because it's less people-y at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
That's why I said I wish they'd go back to 24/7 because I go late at night to Walmart or there's no one there, and that's what I preferred. But unfortunately, after COVID happened,
Yeah.
yeah,
they stopped being 24/7. They closed at 9, so you're kind of forced to go there. And I'm just like, okay, at this point, can we please have the 24/7 back?
yeah. Well, here they're open 24/7.
Yeah.
Not here, not down here.
Well, because that's kind of like the backwoods in the small towns. They don't. Everything closes at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm trying to remember when I was there, like, if there was but then everyone always would screw up or someone on Okinawa would screw up, and so all the bases went into lockdown, so there was, I think half the time we were there, the X was under a curfew anyways. I mean, I wasn't. I could go out, but,
Yeah,
you know, I'm not gonna go traipsing around Japan by myself. I was not overly I I felt totally safe. Like I had no problem getting on the trains, doing my own thing. I would go, if I was off and he was working or one of the, exercise weeks where you don't see them, for 12 hours at a time. I'd go to Tachikawa, go to, God, I forgot the name of the place that I used to love going to there. Um, I'd go get food by myself. Like I had no problem with it, but I not gonna go driving around. I was fine on base, but I just yeah. I took a few one-way streets the wrong way a few times, so I was not allowed to drive off base, except for going down to the train station, the CU and stuff, because it was just a straight shot out the gate and then like one turn. So it was close. It was only a couple miles. I was allowed to do that. It was safe. But going where I don't do well here, if I don't know where I'm going, I have anxiety and I'm just like, I don't need to go. It's fine. So I'll just avoid it. Like going through where I live, the big town that I'm right on the outskirts, I will go all the way, and you'll know what I'm talking about, I mean, all the way around the long loop way to get to this. I will not drive through the city.
Do you find that you had more anxiety as you went back to the States than when you were here?
I had high anxiety before I got there. I did not really have a lot of anxiety in Japan. Like I don't like crowds, I don't like people, but I had no problem being on a train in rush hour. It did not bug me. I don't know who was touching my butt, but it didn't bug me. My ex had a problem with that, which is funny. Here, I do. So when we got back here, like him driving off base, I mean, anything with a car and someone driving freaks me out because of accidents and stuff in my past.
Yeah.
But here my anxiety just went off the charts. I mean, it did, but I also came off my meds and was med free. Then when I hit my spiritual stuff, my anxiety almost disappeared.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that it got worse when you went home than when you were here?
I felt safe there.
The environment, or
well, she wasn't in tune with her gift, so that's why she felt safer there compared to you and me, Irene. We go out there, we feel it out there.
Yeah. See, I wasn't feeling the energy. I wasn't going through that. So for me, it was a non-gifted human being at that point, and I felt safer in. There's something I know that I've done past life there at some point. I have been so drawn, and I felt like I was at home. And in those 4 years there, at that point now where I am now that I'm single and kind of in a different space, it's a little different. But I could say when I left Japan that those 4 years in Japan, I was the happiest in my entire life.
It might be different now if she came back with her abilities.
It might be different, but you have to understand, I'm like, ooh, there's a demon. And I am running into that house head first with the 6-pack of beer. Like, I don't know. I haven't found anything that scares me in a long time or makes me uncomfortable. Overwhelmed, yes, but I also know how to handle that, and I have boundaries. Like, I mean, how much are you guys picking up that's been around me? I haven't felt a single thing. Our friend over here in the comments, it picked up 3 earlier.
Yeah.
Irene, you got my dad. I don't feel any of them.
Yeah. But
so
usually with family members, it's usually not the person whose family. It's usually a different person. Like, it wouldn't be you who would be seeing your father. It would be somebody else who would be able to see your father.
But my point is all of them that are in here, unless they sit there and go smack, I don't notice it because the wall that I keep around me because of what I do. So I don't know what it would be like now going to Japan. I don't think it would spike my anxiety or be an issue though. But I could be wrong, obviously, because I haven't experienced it. But now I really want to.
Like, okay, you could see it. I got it. You could feel it too. Okay, now sit down and behave yourself.
There was someone walking behind you not too long ago, but I didn't I couldn't tell who it was.
Yeah. Like I said, it's literally a train station. They just, there's things called the ley lines that I don't know too much about, but they're energetic paths, and there's not one. I mean, it's to the west of us here, but it's not horribly far, but I can see the river of energy that literally goes through the back half of my apartment. It goes from not my bedroom, but the next bedroom over, from that window through the portal, kind of comes down a little bit and goes right through the galley. We have a galley kitchen, and it goes right throughout that wall.
Have you ever thought about closing the portals?
No.
Okay.
Nope, because it's what I do. It doesn't bug me. It doesn't like my room's locked down. But I work with, if they need help, that's what I'm here for. So
I got it.
yeah.
You're the same way as me with this. I don't close it. I
Yeah.
need them.
So I
They
tell
help
people
me.
with spirits are just visiting through too, because I'm just like, if they're just passing through, I don't really care, because it's not. I know how to handle it at this point, so I don't really. I
Yeah.
could care
Yeah.
less of it, especially if they're just passing by.
Yeah.
Like I said, if somebody wants to come in and it wants to harm, like it goes after my birds or something like that, I mean, then we got a whole different issue, and that's where
That's a different story altogether.
that's where the darker gray side of my witchcraft comes into
Yeah.
play and
Yeah.
mediumship.
Yeah.
We're not playing games. You don't come in and you come in, you want to say hello, you want to walk through, cool. You're gonna come in here and start trying to disturb crap and mess you. I've got an ancient. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I've got a more ancient spicy friend that is part of my team that helps make sure my place stays good. And he doesn't like when things come in and disrupt this house. So, yeah, but neither do I. So
I'm getting a child coming in.
no, that's possible. I've had mediums tell me there's a couple different times, and they've all gotten, even my mentor's gotten the same child. I don't know if it's the same one. I'm hoping by now she's passed or crossed, because that was like,
I'm getting also a little boy.
okay. This was a girl that they picked up on.
Yeah, I'm
So I'm
picking up
gonna be a
a
little
boy.
girl, but
I'm picking up also a little boy.
There could be multiple. Like I said, I don't work with children spirits. So
Yeah, I do. That's
well,
the part that
you are welcome to have them. He's welcome to go to you.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's how my house though, because you said you had your spicy friend that kind of protects from those. Back in the house that I used to live in before I came here, I always tell people, like, if you're not gifted, you don't understand this. I did not pick the house I lived in.
Yeah.
There was an old lady spirit that put the idea in my head because she wanted me there. She picked me. And so when I finally did move, because it wasn't what I was kind of looking for, but I made it work. And people like, this doesn't make sense. What I wasn't looking for. Why did you get it? And it's like, it wasn't really my idea. It was a spirit in the house. It was a southern old lady.
That's
So,
the house I
she
know about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can still see that back building in the garage.
It's Billy. That was his shop.
Yeah.
You want to know something funny? Yes, last night we did a USS Lexington, right? All this male spirit sailors were coming after Amanda. There's like, we like her.
Yeah, I went. What was it?
And Amanda was going, oh jeez, like this.
What one is? I can't remember which one is. Well, was stationed. It was the last thing I did with the ex before we separated a year and a half ago. We were in Virginia, and I can't remember what one was there, but I just remembered, because I grew up near San Francisco, so I went to Fleet Week. I've been on ships and done all this, but whatever one's in Virginia, and first time I've been on one since my abilities had, kicked in, and I went in and just seeing them like all sitting there like playing cards, like, back in the old day and stuff. And when I was leaving, they're like coming out, like waving, like, bye, thanks for like acknowledging us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go. Was it Joshua? I think is the one who was on that with you, because he asked if I'd seen it. So I'll have to go put that on and
that
check
one's
that out.
really active.
Yeah. I know the group that I kind of work with. They're going to, oh God, was the one in Wilmington? Is it USS Carolina? I don't know what it is.
Carolina.
Is it Carolina?
Okay.
North Carolina.
I've been on that one too.
They're doing that in September. I'm like, I grew up in San Francisco Fleet Week. Like, I'm not traipsing, all the way across, the state to go see that one.
That one's also haunted too. I did that one too.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit different than this one.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit different than this.
I want to go see a destroyer. I haven't been on a destroyer, and I want to go just because my biological father was on one for
That's
the Navy.
interesting. That's interesting. That'd be cool. You know what? I want to take you to Kure. Kure is where they had a battleship during the Second World War. Japanese battleship it sunk because it was bombed, and they brought back the artifacts and they put it in the friggin' museum.
Oh my God. Yeah, we went when we were in Virginia, we went to I'm trying to look this up. The Naval Museum. It was the USS Wisconsin, because someone asked if it was the Hornet. It's the USS Wisconsin I was on. The Naval Museum there. And like I said, I never got to meet my biological dad. He's come through for me, and I've interacted with him. He's come through for my mentor, of course, and of course tonight. But he was in Vietnam, and we went through the Vietnam memorial exhibit, and I got to the end and I was talking to someone and I could not stop. I'm like, I'm not someone who cries, and I sure as heck don't cry in front of people, let alone in public. And I was bawling my eyes out, seeing the artifacts and things like that. I hate history books. I hate reading it, but if I can go and see it in person or touch it, like the boneyards for planes, man.
There's another place have you been to the Peace Memorial Building in Okinawa?
No, because I was only in mainland and we never went to Okinawa.
Okinawa was expensive to go to.
That's one place. If you don't have a strong stomach, don't go there.
I have no idea. I'm going to answer Anthony really fast. I have no idea in San Francisco what one it was because, like I said, I grew up there. So we're talking 30 to 40 years ago. Couldn't tell you.
And
but back in my old house, though, that you're aware of, that Southern old lady, anytime I go for an investigation or come back from somewhere, she was that traditional Southern grandma where she was tough, where if anything tried to follow me, she's like, not in my house.
Mm-hmm.
This is my border.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing ever followed me in because she was that tough old grandma who's just like, nope, not in my house. But she also, it was, to her, that was her house, but at the same time, she also recognized that I was living there, physically living there. So she didn't bother me. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
If I was one part of the house, she kind of went together because she's like, nah, you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. And if someone's trying to follow you in, I'm going to beat them away.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, things come into my house, but that's, with the paranormal investigator group that I'm in, every time they go somewhere, it's like, okay. So the next day I get a phone call. I'm like, who brought home who? Like, how many of you brought them home? Well, we saged, we did this, we did this. I'm like, yeah. That's why you get in the car and say, you're not allowed to follow me. There's things you can do.
Yeah.
But, so I'm sitting there. One of the guys that's part of it, I mentor him on the witchcraft stuff. And he was here last weekend, and we pulled out the pendulum and the cards and stuff. He wanted to ask, some questions about our coming up trip. And I think one of the questions was, is anyone going to take anything home with them? And my pendulum swung so big on yes. I'm like, yeah. I mean, have you? Because it's not only their group, but they're bringing some guest people on, and some of them are other, starting out paranormal investigators, mediums, friends of friends type things. Like my best friend's going and her sister's going, and they're both mediums and stuff, but they're newer. And I'm like, yeah. Out of the 13 people, I think 8 are mediums, and I think only 2 of us are seasoned. So we're going to have a big powwow. We're going up for a few days. We're going the night before, so we're not trying to drive 6-7 hours and then do it and then try to drive home. So we're going to be there for a few days. I'm like, we're going to have a big powwow of these are the things you don't do. And if you do, I'm not helping you. Don't play stupid games. Because I will hand you the stupid prize myself.
Exactly.
So. I've been in investigations where you have new people, but they're so unrealistic with the expectations that it's just, it became ridiculous. There's also been, group investigations I've been on that ended way early it wasn't I wanted to keep going, but because the rest of the group was just getting bored because they didn't have the evidence they wanted to within the first hour, they got bored and they just wanted to quit. And they're just like, well, since no one else wants to be here,
Yeah.
you can't just be here by yourself, kind of have to wrap it down. And I was just like, well, okay, but that was
Like
pointless.
if they don't have the blinking lights going off, if they don't have the pinging
they're not
noise,
getting yelled at by a spirit, they're not having things thrown at them or floating. I'm like, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen that way. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way.
Which is great. The most of us are mediums and, can sense stuff. So that'll help. But yeah, I mean, that's just realistically, and that's not how it's, like one place we go.
It was.
And I don't really want to say the name on here, but one place we go, north towards Statesville. I know you have been there, Amanda.
I know what you're talking about. I love that place.
That's the place that has the problem right now. It actually has some spices in there right now.
That's interesting because I've been there so many times. There was never a spicy until now.
Sorry, I know the person who just popped in on the chat and said yes.
And that's what I'm saying. It's because I always felt safe there. I mean, I've done investigations there by myself because I always felt safe there. Yeah. But now all of a sudden, I am here and it's not safe. And I'm just like, well, who brought what in then?
Yeah. Well, and that's a conversation for not on here. My buddy that just came in is gone there with me. And actually that's the reason why I've gone there. Oh God. I didn't say the name just in case you weren't paying attention, Tammy. I didn't say the name. Tammy is my mentoree and the leader of the group. But yeah, no, things have changed there a bit. But like in that place, like you go in these places and people aren't getting stuff. Some of these spirits are just like tired of it. Like, stop. Like, we are so tired of performing for you guys,
Yeah.
And that's how the main person in that plays. He's like, I just want you guys to all go away, please. Can you just not be here?
Yeah.
Hi, Tammy.
Have you been there I'm assuming, have you been there recently?
We did a day trip. God, it wasn't that long ago. Tammy, how long ago were we there? I'm not saying the name.
Yeah.
When we went up when we went up, you were Alex. God, we just went a month ago. Was it February? Okay. Yeah. So, it's changed a bit. I went a year before that, and it had changed a lot in that year. Yeah, so you should
I'll ask about some things, but I can't do it right here for reasons.
No. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to.
That was one of the last places I went before I came here.
Yeah, I don't want to delve too deep in that on a live, but we can talk about that later. Because I know the first time I ever heard of it was because of you.
I want to ask.
I love that place. I've taken people there all the time, and it's just to hear. And everyone was all the spirits was just so nice there, but it's so weird hearing all of a sudden, and the residents in there have to be not happy with knowing that there's spices in there. It's just the way they is.
Yes, Irene. She's raising her hand.
I'm going to ask a question for the audience. What do you think about people having so much equipment that if it beeps, they say, oh, thank you. You answered my question. What do you think about that? And do you think that there's just too much technology or equipment, people using too much equipment, thinking that it is a spirit that is saying something when it's just a beeping noise? It's really nothing.
I think if they're good investigators, they know the difference. Like, we were at another location around here, completely different outside, and like we would get close enough to the REM pod, and when they had the REM pod at my house, like we got close enough, it would go off. Like, they would sit there and pay attention. Oh, if you put your cell phone within 2 feet, it's going to go off. So like her group is really good at debunking that and not thinking that every beep is something. Now, when a cat ball is sitting on a bed and no one's in the room and we're standing in the doorway and the cat ball starts, flashing, then that's a little different. But, because every time I'd walk into this thing and Gold Hill, and I'd walk in, and like I'd walk near the REM pod, and it'd beep, and I'd F you, and they were laughing at me. Same thing,
But
but like
you know, I think a lot of investigators, some like there's one group that I know, they like gadgets, okay,
you're welcome, Tammy.
and they say that if you don't have a gadget, if they can't see it, if they don't see it beep, it's nothing. And I had really hard trouble. I said, okay, I'm done. Bye.
Yeah.
Like I'm done with you guys, because if you can't, maybe you can't see what I can see, but I can see it. If you don't believe me, if you think I've got nothing, then yeah, you got something wrong in there. Hoo-hoo. And yeah, that's a part that really bothers me, because there's some paranormal groups that think that it's got to go beep and it's got to go bump. If it doesn't go bump, it doesn't go beep, there's nothing there.
Well, and my problem, like I said, I don't get into that. Tammy's group is amazing, her, Alex, and the rest of them. And, you know, for her, that's her thing, because she's a medium. So she's in there and she's like, well, I don't care what you got. I'm looking at 3 people standing here in front of me.
Exactly.
And the thing that I don't like, or the reason why I don't interact with a lot of paranormal groups, being a medium, is because, you know, you go and you're like, oh, well, I'm a medium. And they're like, it's like they're investigating because they want proof to make them believe. They don't even believe in any of it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, and I can't work with groups that are like that. That's fine. That's them, because
Mhm.
those are the ones that will probably provoke or do things that it's like, for me, it's a moral issue. You know, I'm here to help and protect these spirits.
Yeah, I don't do that
not
either.
Party trick.
Yeah, but but I can't show you what I see. I can't prove to you what I see. It's up to you to either believe me or not.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's fine too. You know. Like,
Yeah, I hate the people. I don't know if you've had this, Amanda. You interact with someone, like, have you been tested? Have you proven that your ability? I'm like, I don't gotta prove anything to anyone. Like, I know who I am. I know I'm not right all the time.
That's one thing we say about this podcast is, if you don't believe in people with abilities, then you might as well just keep scrolling, because our stories are not going to make sense to you, or you're just whatever.
Yeah. And I can't, it's not my place to prove to you what I see and what I can't see. And it's either you believe me or not. If you don't believe me, that's fine too. I don't like,
or people to go, and like the UK and stuff like that, they have a much different view on these things, because I've taken classes out of the Center of Excellence and on ancestral healing and some different things. And that stuff like has, those little certificates have a meaning. Here that means nothing. But there's that there, and there are schools per se, where you can learn this stuff. So I hate when I'm scrolling on social media and, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a psychic medium and I have a degree from this spiritual college and this. I'm like, what? Sorry, you're not going to see any degrees behind me.
Nope. Neither with me either.
There's no accreditation system here.
No. I mean, you got it. You don't. You believe me. If you don't, that's too bad. That's okay. I don't mind.
That's a red flag. Have you been tested? Okay, well,
how do you prove it? That's not something you can really prove.
Yeah.
No, you really can't.
No, now, like, for us and stuff, like, there are times, like, when we go to that one place, we all know the spirit. So if a new medium's with us and they're picking up, like, we know because we've interacted with those spirits or whatever. So we can sit there and validate. But just because the 3 of us all have abilities doesn't mean we're going to walk into the same place and have the same experience.
Exactly. Like, what if you may pick up something here and the other one may pick up something totally different, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, sometimes you may come together and see the same thing. You may feel the same thing, but a lot of times it's like, yeah, I can't pick up that one, or I can't pick up that one. There's one thing that really bothers me, right? I say, okay, I can see dead people, okay? I can see spirits, okay? And they said, okay, tell me what I'm thinking. I go,
I know.
That's what happened.
I'm saying, Huh?
Yeah, I love that. When I first got out into the dating world, I didn't really like hide it, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't like necessarily go, I got a whole room for this stuff. Yeah, I didn't do that either. But I didn't necessarily hide it. And yeah, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's exactly the first thing. What am I reading? I said, yes,
I'm
I am a
Madame
psychic
Tussauds.
medium, but that does
I'm a Madame
I don't
Tussauds.
read
I
people.
can read your mind, right? I go, listen here. I can't read your mind. I'm not a Harry Houdini. It doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
It's just
I hate
hilarious,
that.
right? Like, I can't read your mind. I can't. I really can't. I'm sorry. I can't read your mind. But I can see what's wrong with you. I can tell you if you have a.
See, I can see people just like I see the dead at a soul level. I see people at it. Not everyone, but
No.
I can sit there and like someone like, oh, this person's so great and they're doing this. Look at all this stuff they do. And I'm looking, I'm going, yeah, their soul is crap though.
I
Yeah.
say the same thing about people. Is there's people who everyone loves. It's like, oh, they're the best person ever, but I'm like, I can feel the vibe, but they're not. There's something shady about them. Then finally, I always stayed away from it. Finally, maybe later, they're like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, I just felt it.
Yeah, I do that too. And it's funny because with the owner, my boss, so like if we interview someone, I'm like, but it's like we usually get the two opposite sides, and then it's like, okay, well, let's see who was right. And it's a 50-50. But see, like who our soul is and who we are as a meat suit, it doesn't always match. It just depends. And then it depends on your views on reincarnation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I know people who haven't done the best things in life, but their soul is so good. It's just their 3D meat suit hasn't connected well enough to their soul to learn this lifetime. So
Yeah.
that's just how I see, like I said, the living and the dead the same way. That's why when it comes to that spicier side, that's how I look at them, because some of them aren't what they're written out to be. They can be, I'm sure, but they're not. So
see, look at
the
light has gotten really bright behind me.
I know. I've been watching it throughout the whole.
You can't help but watch
podcast.
it. It's
they're around here.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's some around here too. I don't know. Tammy, you still there? You picking anything up? She was the one that was in the room with the cat, and she's like, there's like 8 people on here. I'm like, sure, if you say so.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's used to my crazy place here.
It's one thing I also tell people though, because some people are just like, I feel like I did something because my house was never haunted, but now I'm starting to see it. Like, no, it was. But as you said, like you just feel like your house is your safe space, so it's nothing that you notice.
Yeah. Well, in different rooms in my house, like the back room, which is the guest room, which I know Tammy doesn't like, that room, like it's what it is. This room is my office / altar room. So it's where I do my meditation. It's where I do my spellcraft, my witchcraft stuff. It's my desk where, my business or my, work from home. So it's a little bit of everything. But this room is, considering how my house can be, this room is very calm. It has a very calm energy. And same with my bedroom.
It feels warm. It feels safe. It feels harmony.
There's a good balance in here. Now, the bathrooms and the halls by the bathrooms,
well, every room has something like that, right?
Yeah. And I swear I'll come out some nights like to get a drink or something, because it's long. Like, so you have like the living room, the living dining area, then you have the kitchen, and then it goes back to the bedrooms. So I'll come out and it's a straight viewing shot. I'll be like, what, are we having like a party out there? Like, what's going on? It's like, I swear there's like 3 or 4 of them just sitting around on the couches, just like chit-chatting.
I'm feeling 3 baby girls, infants floating in rotation above the bed.
God, I hope that's not my bed, because I'm saging the crap out of it. It is. I only 3 babies floating. 3 demons, Cool. Float over my bed. I get attacked when I'm sleeping anyways. It's fine. I'll deal with it. 3 babies, I'm saging.
I mean, the babies could come from the funeral home too, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
But like I said, I don't deal with kids, so I don't even feel it. I know when I go to bed, I can sit there and lay in bed and be like, okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. It's like they kind of stand around. Because I have been, you talk about sleep paralysis times 10. So they're,
Yeah.
in the astral, being like choked out by something that has bony skeleton hands, and yeah, I've had some nights. So
Yep. Had that too. Been there, done that. Had that.
yeah, so I, like on the back porch, there's usually I've got things kind of hanging out. It does, whether it stops. I mean, I know I have to experience certain things because you don't learn unless you experience, right? So I can't help other people with the dreams and stuff like that if I haven't gone through it
Yeah.
myself. But that's also where I can be very strong and be in the astral and stuff. So that's just part of it.
It's true.
Yeah. I wake up. Daniel's my companion spirit. Daniel, how'd you let something get close to me? That's the first words when I wake up from something like that. Is I yell at him.
That's your fault, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys know my boundaries.
You know you're not supposed to be here.
Well, I figured if it made it through, it's because there was something to learn out of it. So I take it as a learning experience.
Is archangels relevant in Japanese culture, religion? No.
That's Catholic, and probably only Catholic, I would think.
Yeah.
They're mostly where Amanda lives in Nagasaki, more predominant than in Tokyo. Like I carry St. Michael's, and I got it from the church in Tokyo, the one that I go to. But it mostly people, most Japanese people, like 99.9% of them are all Buddhists. So they have a different concept. They have a different theory about life and death. So yeah, they're predominantly Buddhists. And even if they were baptized as Catholic, they would most likely have a Buddhist funeral.
Yeah, I was there. One of my coworkers was Shinto, and so I got to go with her I went with her to the temple one day, and it happened to be the day celebrating the guy who started that part of that branch. And so I don't remember his name anymore, of course, but it was apparently a really cool day, and it was a very interesting experience. I loved it.
I'm Shinto too.
Nice.
I
can't remember the guy's name.
The witchcraft here in Japan is more based off the Western and the Western deities compared to the Japanese ones.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know about I don't know if I should even tell you this. If you are angry at somebody, okay? If you want to put a nasty curse on somebody, shit, here we go again. Yeah, excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna go into something. Okay, if you don't like this, you don't have to watch this, please. Okay, if you get upset, please scroll down. What I'm gonna tell you is that they have wara ningyo, which means it looks like a doll, a voodoo doll, and it's made out of wara grass, like hay, like dried grass, and it has a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs, and a body. And if you are kind of like you are angry at somebody, you don't like somebody, you make this doll. You take a nail, you nail it to a tree, and you put the person's name on it. That would be their curse.
Hmm.
But in return, you'd wear white, which means you purify yourself, and you'd have to give up something that's very important to you to make that happen.
Yeah. And
I
that's
mean,
I don't think people understand that there's a give and take when it comes to doing,
yeah.
anything, energy work, things like that. I mean, you can't just yeah, I need to go to Devil's Tramping Ground with you. Um, you can't yeah, so I can see, who pass out. Yeah, let's go. Or come to my work because it's the same thing. Anywho, it's like, I'm gonna manifest a downfall of money. No, you're gonna manifest opportunities to come to you, and then
Yeah.
you take those opportunities and you go earn the money. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you get a little something, something, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's an exchange of energy. You just don't
Yeah.
do
If
it
you
and just assume nothing's gonna happen.
it
Devil's
if you
Tramping Grounds, what I heard, because I knew people who went there a while ago compared to just in a recent couple of years, who are a bit gifted. They said like back then the energy, yes, but now the owners have completely like cleaned it up, and they went there and they're like the energy and every creepiness and everything is just it's gone. It's not there.
yeah.
No, Tammy, when did you guys go? Year and a half ago? But okay, so Irene is not in this area at all, Tammy. She's not because I guess what Tammy's saying is that the dolls that Irene's talking about, they did that at Devil's Tramping Ground.
Yeah. They do
So
that and mostly women would do that. It would be a trade upon a woman who would be scorned from their lovers or their husband. Would do that.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that would happen.
yeah. She
And
was
it's usually a scorned woman.
well,
And there's a
it's
lot of
usually a
scorned women.
scorned woman that does everything. Come on.
And there's a
We
lot
get
of scorned
vicious.
women in Japan. Believe me, there's a lot of scorned women in Japan.
2022.
Yeah.
That
I
sounds
mean,
right.
yeah.
She was there 2 years ago, and 2 years ago, the energy was still at Devil's Tramping Ground, Amanda, was still really like one of them passed out from it, but there was still some pretty decent energy there. So,
I
and
heard
they
that
had big,
afterwards. I think they got new owners, or owners finally cleaned it up or something. And people said
yeah,
it doesn't feel the same. I haven't
Mm.
actually been there. It just because people are just like it's not
yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
the same. But I also heard now supposedly the owners blocks it off from people visiting because of its reputation.
They had done that when I don't know, Alex. No clue who passed out. We'll see how well you do in Tala. But no, I know when they went, they had to get permission and do
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
like that. And reach out to the owners, and they had already started cleaning it up. So who knows? I mean, I've never been there, so
Yeah.
witches visit a lot.
I mean, sometimes you'd have to. I mean, everything is a give and take in this country. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. That's why Tokyo's so crazy, I think. That's why the whole country is so crazy because there's just so much energy all around it. And you wonder why, right? Yeah. From condominiums being built under sacred land that had battles, that have samurai warriors going in and out of the walls. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're being developed because the land tax has gone up, but they didn't have before. And so you're seeing people who own these properties had to give it up and sell the land. So you're seeing a lot of crazy stuff happening
Yeah.
all over the
I
place
can
here.
imagine. Oh, I can imagine.
And it's so sad because stuff that happened, you wouldn't want it to be developed, right?
Yeah.
And if you develop, you know what happens, right?
Yeah.
Whole lot of shit, right?
Yep. I mean, look at Hawaii. They have those problems a lot of times too.
Yeah, and it's in the thing is land is so small, like in Hawaii.
Mhm.
It's so precious. Like you just don't have a lot of place to develop and build things. So you're seeing graveyards being uprooted to make a freeway. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're
Well, yeah,
seeing
when you're on an island, you can only kind of go so far.
exactly. And you know what? You're going around and around in this little island, right? And yeah, and that's why it's so crazy because land is so precious. And um, yeah, you gotta watch what you buy, right? I'm glad
Yeah.
my land where I'm sitting on was a tangerine uh farm, and I had to get my son to see if this land was safe to buy this house on it. But yeah, you literally need a medium to see if you should buy the land or not,
Yeah.
because you don't want any ooh like yeah, whoops.
Um, Anthony, has anyone heard of Archangel Metatron? Yeah, he's the scribe of God, isn't he?
Mm.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, well, I know Metatron because I do the counterpart. So, like, number one, like, there's the 72 lesser spirits of Solomon, but then there's always the 72 angels, Metatron, and Baal are the counterparts. That's why I do them. But, and then Tammy, I gotta ask. So I taste blood a lot, especially going to battlefields or somewhere involving blood.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound fun. I don't
Yeah,
get those physicals. She'll get that. My mentor gets it too, and I don't know how you are, Irene. Like if someone dies of a heart attack, you feel pressure on the heart, or
yeah.
I don't get the physical things. I get the emotional. Like they can literally make me feel an emotion and I can tell you the whole story behind it.
I get
But I
hit
don't
on
get
the
the
head.
physical.
If I get punched in the gut, I feel being gutted out. I get strangled. What else do I get? I get everything, right? It comes like
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I
like
don't
I
like
said.
it.
I
And
would
sometimes they have to
I
say,
get the
okay,
emotion.
that's enough. We don't do this here. Stop it. You're like,
Yeah.
you know. Sometimes I have to sometimes I get depending on how bad it is, I get knocked out of this podcast so many times.
Yeah, so she said right when we started, you got knocked out. And she's like, oh, don't worry, that happens. She'll be back in a minute or two.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And Amanda knows it.
Yeah.
She's so darn used to it being knocked out. Yeah. I'm surprised that I have been knocked out lately yet. Because
Yeah.
we talked about a lot of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Tam. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say Tammy has a question for you. Because I know I can't answer it.
okay,
How do I get the taste out?
you really can't. It's a part of you. It's a part of what you feel. It's a part of what you see. It's a part of how you really can't. The only thing I can suggest is take a mint candy or take a throat lozenges with you when you go someplace and put it in your mouth. And especially if it's a really strong mint, do that. And another thing is I can think of is before you go in there, you meditate yourself. You meditate and you make yourself cleanse yourself inside and out before you go in there, so you don't have anything that comes to you hit you like a ton of bricks. There isn't really nothing that you can do that helps you, because that's a part of you and that's part of your gift, and you can't get rid of that part of your gift, but you can change it by taking a mint candy or taking a strong mint candy before you go in a place. And yeah, there's not much you can do about that, right?
Okay,
I
so I guess the group and I just need to buy some stock in Altoids for your birthday for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's why I always have mint candies in my bag or cinnamon flavored candies or something really strong with me just in case I'm under attack of something or something there that I don't want.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Another thing is that if you're in a place that you need a decoy, I would bring candy, I would bring mints, I would bring candy, I would bring chocolate to talk to the spirits because sometimes the spirits will react better if you bring some kind of something with you.
Yeah. Tammy's actually, and apparently it's Alex is having the problem, but Tammy's actually good about like, because I give all my spirits offerings. I mean, they're most of them are deities that I'm giving offerings to, but also I'll do it to regular spirits as well. And I know she's started doing that and stuff. Like when we go to that one place that's up a little north from here, they'll bring offerings for some of the different spirits there, some of the main ones and stuff. And so
And
that's
especially the older people, the older people who have died likes chocolate.
Yeah.
They're like they have preferences,
Yeah. Yeah, I always have a chocolate and like a fruit and stuff like that when I do mine. So
yeah.
Or alcohol. They like alcohol too.
Yeah. Like a can of beer.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes they get nicer, sometimes they get less. It's like, oh, I bought this alcohol. No, I really don't like the taste of it. Ooh, offerings.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I won't say I won't. I've got a whole bunch of Simply whatever. They're all lemonade based. I'm not a lemonade person. So they'll all eventually be offerings at some point.
I can't. Yeah, I'm not really into lemonade either.
Yeah, well, the strawberry
lemonade.
one sounded good. The strawberry one's not bad. All the other ones were kind of neat.
Is
Tammy
there
says,
any
"Thank
questions that anybody has in the audience? If you have any questions for our guest, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to answer them while we're on the air.
Yeah.
If something that's bothering you, if you need help, please ask us because we could probably do something later on or get in touch with us later on. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of material that we've covered. There's a lot of things that we've talked about. I mean, it's really hard to palpate it. It's really hard to take it all in at once because there's a lot of stuff that we go through when we talk about things. There's a lot of good stuff, there's a lot of nasty stuff, there's a lot of bad stuff, there's a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, that's our lives.
Don't know if you're gonna like this answer, Tammy, but I'll let because you already know my answer. Tammy says, "Okay, what about somebody getting attacked a lot and doesn't want to shield?
Don't want to shield, yeah.
Who's getting attacked a lot?
And they don't want to shield.
One of the members of her team.
You're weak.
Told you, girl.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm Cancer. Okay, I'm a Cancer, but I'll tell you what it is. Like, I don't sugarcoat anything, right?
Yeah, she's used to me, so that's why I said you don't want to hear this answer.
Yeah, you don't want to bother the Cancer, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't want to make a Cancer mad either. Anyway, putting that aside, you have to be stronger inside. You have to meditate more. You have to go inside yourself. You have to ground yourself a little bit more if you're getting attacked. And there's a reason why you're getting attacked, because you're being shown as the weakest link in the group. That's where you're getting attacked.
Yeah,
and you gotta make. You got to
Didn't really
strengthen yourself up.
say anything different than me, did she, Tammy?
You got to strengthen yourself up a bit. You got to grow some. You got to grow some.
Cojones.
Yeah. Make your cojones stronger. You know. And probably they sense that maybe, aha. So you're being picked out too. So they, mind you, you know what? Spirits can see everything. They know everything. They know everything about you before you even go in that place. They
Yeah.
can size you
Yep.
up, like who you are, what you hate, what you don't like, what you're scared of. They know everything. So, you know, the thing is that you got to know yourself before you go in there. You have to do your a self check before you go in that building or before you go on that land. Like, is my energy right? Is there something wrong? Is there something that's bothering me? Is my head right? Is my body right? How am I feeling inside? What am I feeling in here? Is it right or wrong? What's wrong with me? I have to get rid of it before I go in there. And check yourself out before you do anything. It's like everything else. Like when you see a feral cat, they can sense that you're scared and they'll scratch you the same way, right? So you have to grow some a little bit of strength and say, okay, you're not gonna bother me. I know you. I could see you. You could see me. Yeah. And this is what I am. This is who I am. And yeah. I mean, this is my border. This is my line. Do not cross it.
That boundaries, borders.
Yeah.
Sound familiar? I'm like looking at her profile. Like, she sound familiar? Yeah, same stuff I've said too for the most part.
Yeah.
But you know, the way I look at it is each individual, you can give them so many tools, but they've got to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they've got to come to that point, and he's gotten better with it. But
that's basic. That's like paranormal 101, right? It's just learning the basics of it, and you're not going to learn it in any book. It's not going to teach you anywhere, right?
Yeah,
Nope.
that's
You're
what I
not going to
tell
learn it in
people
any
is
class either. It's
that is one thing I always say though. There's a huge difference in reading about investigation and learning about it compared to actually going out there and doing it.
yeah.
Well, I
And-
mean, this individual, I might be wrong on the amount of time, but I mean, he's been doing this a lot longer than he's been part of Tammy's group, and that's been, I think, Tammy and I met, I think it's 3 years ago in July. And he was doing it a lot longer, and he's got plenty of experience. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, and pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
don't go, like, I know my limits of what I can do, what I can't do. And don't go someplace where you're really unsure of yourself, that you can take care of yourself. You can go in there and come out the same way. Pick your battles carefully and don't do something stupid. Like I said, don't put your finger in the friggin' light socket, because you might not like what comes out of it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Well, if he's a medium, they definitely should be trying to shield, because
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where his abilities have he's always been able to pick up on certain things from what I can tell, but he's really now coming into his abilities and are really starting to open up. So
that's
it's even more so a problem than before. So there's a reason why we call him Ghost Bait.
Yeah. Well, I call them greenies. I mean, yeah. Like, I would never take a greenie to a cemetery. I would never take a greenie to a really bad haunted house, right?
Well, we're taking a handful of them to Trans-Allegheny, so.
Oh, bless you, dear.
Yeah. That's her issue. Her and my mentor are taking care of them. I mean, like my best friend, who she's known she's a medium for 6 or 7 years now. She doesn't do as much with it. Like, I've got her back. I mean, I've got all their backs. That's why I go. I don't do the investigative. Like, if this group is on this floor, I'll be on that floor, but I'll be back kind of just doing my own thing. Like, ooh, I'm talking to spirits. I'm having fun. But I'm also making sure and feeling out, what's the most, I don't like the word dangerous, but it's the most problematic spirit there, and like trying to keep them from wanting to do something to anyone in the group. So, and that way they can investigate, and hopefully, nothing
And
bad
if
will
you're an
happen.
investigator, listen to the medium, please. If the medium says don't go there, please don't go there. If the medium says don't touch that, please don't touch that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to the investigator, listen to the medium, because the medium will tell you reason why. Don't touch it, don't go there, and don't do this, don't do that. There's a reason why you're not supposed to do it, right?
Well, and Tammy's great about doing that. It's just sometimes they don't all listen.
No, and you really have to listen. It's for your own safety.
Tammy.
If you don't want to get scratched, if you don't want to get bitten, if you don't want to get kicked, if you don't want anything nasty happening to you, you got to listen to the medium.
Unfortunately, that's why mediums cannot really investigate with everyone, because it's like if you're not going to listen, then there's nothing we can really do, and anything that happens to you, you pretty much brought upon yourself, and that's
and
that's on you.
Him.
Well, I can tell walking into a place with a group just by their energy who's going to be an issue, who the spirits are probably not going to interact with, who are they probably going to, if they do interact with, it's not going to be pleasant, and it's just
yeah, and it could be nasty, it could be bad. I mean, and the thing is that when I'm watching a podcast, right, I said don't go there, don't touch that tree. The idiot touched the tree and he got scratched. I said, I told you not to do that, right? The other people said, touch the tree. I said, I'm doing that.
We're her group. I mean, like the core of the group, they're really good. Yes, one gets picked on. He's the weak link of the group. That's, we still love him. But we are taking some other people that are not part of the group that are new, and like my mentor, my best friend, her sister, and some of them are newer, like my mentor, obviously not, but some of them are newer into their abilities and stuff. So we are, we have a group chat. So as we get closer, I'll probably start putting some stuff up going, hey, and I have a group on Facebook that's tailored. It's just dealing with the dead, whether you're a new medium, paranormal investigator, whatever, that I revamped my old one of my old groups into that, which once again, I haven't had time to work on any of it. So it just kind of sits. But, and then I've already told Tammy, I said, before we actually go, like we're grabbing everyone together and we're having a group meeting, like
don't play set some games. Rules.
Yes. Some rules. She's got her list of rules. They've been out to the group for a while.
Yeah. But the new guys, but the new ones that really, they like adventure, right? The quote unquote adventure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're gonna be idiot. Yeah, this is what's gonna happen to you. Yeah,
I can think of one that most of them have decent heads on the shoulder. I can think of two probably that are gonna be like, yep, okay, I'm just gonna let that one have him. Gosh, just go.
Yeah.
So,
and that's on you. Not gonna. I told you once. I told you twice, 3 times. Yeah.
But no, I tell you once. I only tell you once.
Yep.
We're adults.
Yep.
We're adults. If you can't, if you have a question or you're not comprehending or need help or confused, you ask a question. I'll keep talking to you about it. But if I tell you don't do this and you say, cool, I won't do that, and then you do it, then that's on you. Don't ask me to help remove
it. Exactly. And after they come to meet him, I got an attachment. I go, what the hell did you do? I just went to this place. I go, yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but like I said, her group's really good. The core group, they don't provoke. Yeah. They don't do that crap. So
yeah. But you can't tell, right? Because you don't really know them personally, and you can't really control what they do, because people do whatever they want to do.
Well, her core group I know personally. So yeah. I mean, I just had one of them over, spent the weekend here with my best friend and I last weekend. Was it last weekend? Yeah, last weekend. I know her and I know the other one. And then there's one more girl. So I know all of them. I've been with them before. The rest of them, Well, not the rest of them, but a lot of them I don't know. So those are
That's
the ones.
part you're gonna. That's
Well,
the part
those are the guests. Those aren't
Yeah.
ones that are actually part of, like, when I say her core group, it's her lead investigators and stuff like that. Those
that's
are the
part
ones
the
I know
guests. You're
personally.
like, oh dear, like, here we
That's
go,
not
children,
my
come
problem.
on. Hold
I mean, yes,
hands
if
now.
someone gets in trouble, that's why I'm there. But we'll just see. I told them 2 times at least, if they don't want to listen to me, I let spirit have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
Go
gotta
for
let
it.
it. Like, whatever happens at this point, it happens.
Yeah, just don't be in the carpool, like the car I'm carpooling in for a long amount of time, because then I might get irritated. You have to go ride in someone else's car.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a trip up there. I think it's 5 hours from my house.
Oh
5 something.
wow.
Well, it's an hour and a half to where we're meeting up, and then I'm like carpooling from there up, and it's another 4 hours.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, that's why we're staying several nights there. The
Yeah.
night before, and then the night after the investigation, the day and night. That way we're not driving home.
Because it's gonna be
Oh,
really
yeah.
exhausting too,
Yeah.
especially if because you have your when you have anybody who has abilities, you get drained really quickly,
Oh yeah.
and you need to power up. I don't know
Yeah.
how we say it.
Paranormal hangover is a real thing, is what people
Yep.
basically
That's what-
say it is. It's you do an investigation and you all of a sudden you feel hung over afterwards.
Yeah. That's what Tammy's like. You guys are gonna be in for it. Just wait. You're not gonna want to drive home. I mean,
Yeah.
then there's me that goes, I have been in hotel rooms with too many people for too long. I want to leave now, but I'm not driving
Yeah.
myself, so I'm stuck there. So
Yeah. Or you
But-
go and sleep in a hotel. And say, like, who in the hell are you? Like my room, my hotel room has something there. I go, yeah, I didn't invite you into my room. Get out of here.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no, that'll be interesting to see what the hotel rooms are like when we get back in the morning. I think most of us will be too dead tired because, well, I mean, most of them are my mentors are older than me, and I think 1 or 2 other people are my age or older.
Mhm.
The rest of them are in their like 20s and early 30s. So actually, I don't know how old David is, but maybe I'm off. Maybe there's not. But I know the core group is, I've got anywhere from 6 or 8 years to 20 years on most of her group. So the core group. So yeah, I'm she's already given me a hard time on the phone the other day going, yeah, about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you and my mentor, Sue, I'm going to find you guys sitting in the break room. I'm like, probably.
Need coffee. Coffee.
Oh yeah. I've already said any diet thing that I'm on right now is gonna, like watching sugar intake and stuff. That's gone. I'm gonna be living off those big Starbucks double shots all weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catholic demonologist. This is actually why we do the podcast, especially we have different people doing different things in a paranormal on the show, is we can learn from them. Hopefully they learn something from us, and
Mhm.
whoever watches hopefully learns something too.
It's Amanda, it's gonna be 3 hours. My son is having a guest coming over. So
Yeah, we're at almost 4 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pack it up pretty soon.
Okay, we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
If you need to.
because I originally was like, okay, midnight, I'm exhausted.
And then we just, that's what I'm
I'm
saying. We
yawning.
can talk
Because
if you let
your
us.
guest is yawning,
Yeah.
and I could see her
Well,
body
it's
going.
one. It's
I'm
1
at
a.m. for
9.
her.
I've been up since 6 a.m. and I've been
Yeah, so it's 1 a.m.
re-
for her.
apartment all day. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate
thank
it.
you for having me. I had a great time.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
we'll have to plan on having you on again in the future.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Oh, stay on afterwards. I have to tell you
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and everyone out there, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.